All right, and welcome back to UATV. I'm weather analyst Joshua Wisel here in the storm studios, and we were live just a little bit ago to let you know that the storms weren't in northwest Arkansas. They're still not in northwest Arkansas yet, so we don't want to cause any sort of concern right now, but what we're watching is take a look off to the west. This is what we were looking at earlier. This is going to be a couple of storms that are in eastern Oklahoma that are eventually trying to make their track into the Arkansas border, into northwest Arkansas. So one storm is a confirmed tornado, and then off to the south in eastern Russellville, that has had tornadic activity with it, is no longer warned for a tornado. And then up to the north here, the Joplin area, there have been a couple tornado warnings and some severe weather there as well. So I'm going to step out of the way real quick and show you this one storm that we're keeping a very close eye on, and this is going to be the one that was near Gore and Paradise Hill. Now, if you're just now tuning in with us, this is not northwest Arkansas. This is not Benton and Washington County. This is not Sebastian County. This is not any of those areas. But what we're looking at is this storm could be on track to make its way towards those areas if it holds together. Right now, it has a confirmed tornado with it. We have seen video evidence. We can't show it on air, unfortunately, just because we don't have the rights to it. But we do have these storms that we're keeping a close eye on. Some people have seen this tornado. It did have a debris signature with it at one point. Let's show you what we're talking about there. Right now, it is not as tight of rotation as it was earlier, as you can see, indicative with our rotation, our normalized rotation. So I think that this could be going through a cycle just because we have two areas of rotation with this. We have the original one that is to the north of Paradise Hill, and then to the south, and I'll center that up just a little bit, to the south, there's this one near Gore that also looks like it is starting to rotate. And what we call that is this is some cell-to-cell interaction. And every now and then when you get this cell interaction, it can actually enhance tornado risk with certain cells. So we're watching that very carefully just because this has had a history of tornadic activity with it. And, of course, it's not in our area yet. But the reason that we're on with this right now is because, and I'll zoom back out real quick, is because this activity will eventually be making its way closer to northwest Arkansas. In fact, it could be on track for portions of Washington and Benton counties if it holds together, but we're still watching that very carefully. To the north of that, near Tahlequah, this is just to the east of the Tulsa Metroplex. There's another tornado warning, but no confirmation yet with that one. So we're keeping a very close eye on these. I'm going to step out of the way real quick and see if we have any sort of information. And, all right, thank you. We were just getting some word from our producer that the Sequoyah County tornado warning was updated, and so no longer confirmed. That's some good news there. But like we said, these are going to start to cycle. And what I mentioned a little bit ago with that cell-to-cell interaction, the most northern rotation, that's going to be cycling. There's that new area of rotation that was closer to the community of Gore. So with these cells, they're going to cycle, and typically when you have this large complex like this, these will not be the long-term tornadoes like you see with individual supercells. We are going to see potential for embedded supercells in this, but right now the tornado risk with this remains, but it's not going to be the confirmed damaging tornado. But still, you need to be treating this as if it was a confirmed tornado. We're going to actually show you some severe weather safety tips here. So here's a look at our tornado safety. So if you're in the path of this tornado warning, of course, make sure, seek shelter, centermost room, bathroom, or closet on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Do not be in a mobile home. Do not be in a portable home, RV, car. Those won't do it. If you're driving, don't seek shelter under an overpass. In fact, that is incredibly dangerous because it can actually work as a vacuum and it enhances the wind when it goes under the bridge, so that's incredibly dangerous. Once you're sheltered, make sure that you cover yourself with pillows, blankets, or a mattress to protect yourself from flying debris. Put on a bike helmet, protective sports gear if you have it, and then make sure that you move quickly to shelter just because time is of the essence. For anyone who's in an apartment, and we had a lot of this the other night when we had that tornado warning that was in our area. For just now tuning in, nothing in Fayetteville or Bentonville or Rogers. This is for areas to the west. If you're in an apartment, here's a couple of our severe weather safety tips. And of course, make sure if you're in one of those units where it's kind of double stacked and there's an outdoor stairwell where there's nowhere to shelter, make friends with your neighbor on the floor below you. knock on the door. They should let you in. Shelter in the centermost room. And then if you are in a large apartment building, anything like with an interior stairwell, make sure that you get down to the lowest floor there. Centermost room, underneath the stairwell, don't be in the middle of it, and make sure that there's as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You don't want to be near an exterior wall. You don't want to be near windows, and make sure that you are protecting yourself. And all right, cool. So we have a couple more updates. Here's another look on like where to shelter. So if you're in a home, make sure centermost room, away from the exterior walls, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Let's go back to the radar real quick. And I tell you what, just looking at this storm just to the south of Tahlequah, that is continuing to look pretty concerning. And we're going to be watching this as it makes its way closer to the state line here. But we're starting to get, this very well might be trying to reproduce. We had that downgrade earlier from the previous warning where it said there was no longer a confirmed tornado with that. And then I mentioned that with the cell-to-cell interaction, it can recycle these and they can come back. If you're near Dry Creek, Oklahoma, definitely be getting to your shelter pretty quickly. Let's take a look at our debris tracker. Nothing so far, but that is some intense velocity that is right there with that couplet. And we call this gate to gate, where you see these oranges and reds that are coming together with the greens. That's where that area of spin is, because the green is coming towards the radar and the red is moving away from the radar. And when you get those close together, that's when you get that tight gate to gate rotation. This very well could be trying to reproduce a tornado. Again, if you're just now tuning in with us, there's nothing in northwest Arkansas right now. This warning does not include Washington, Benton counties. But the thing that we are talking about here is this is going to be an area of storms that moves eventually closer to our region. It's not a guarantee this hits us. But what we're watching is, of course, these storms, they eventually are going to make their way to our area. So keeping a very close eye on these. I'm going to step out of the way real quick. Eastern Delaware, strong thunderstorm. Okay, so there's the National Weather Service is continuing tornado watch for Benton, Carroll, Crawford, Sebastian counties until 9 o'clock. Oh, yeah, we're good. We're just looking over some information here, and I'm also trying to see if there's any sort of cameras that could see potentially what that is. We can always pull up. The problem is this is just on the other side of the state line, so we don't really have access to the cameras, kind of like what we have with the RDOT cameras here in Arkansas. Those are very helpful because we can see cameras basically all along I-49 throughout the rest of the state, stuff like that across Arkansas. But this is not near any of those cameras quite yet, so we don't have a visual that we can show you. But we're keeping a very close eye on this. And the good news is, hopefully, this is starting to kind of weaken a little bit. There's still a fairly tight rotation, but it's not as intense as it looked just a matter of moments ago. In fact, with our normalized rotation, that's what this is. You don't actually see that red color in the middle anymore. There's still a little bit of a tornado vortex signature, and what that is that's the computer telling us that the rotation is strong enough that there could be a developing tornado. That's what that triangle is that is near Dry Creek. Well, right now, this is still continuing the cycle, and I do believe that because we have that cell interaction, it's going to eventually recycle. So Dry Creek still remain in your shelter. This is going to be a dangerous storm. Even though we don't have a confirmation yet and it looks a little bit weaker on radar, does not mean that you should go, it's not going to do anything if it comes into my area. That's wrong. This is going to be still a dangerous storm like it's been, and it will eventually, potentially, recycle again. I'm going to step out of the way real quick and re-show that tornado watch that's going to be moving into our area, or the tornado watch that is for our area, excuse me. And this is until 9 o'clock tonight. It does include all of northwest Arkansas. Okay, and is that a tornado warning you said? Okay, thank you. Getting some word from our producer that a new tornado warning was just issued for Adair and Cherokee County, and I do believe that that's an extension of that tornado warning that we were just talking about. The update with the tornado watch, that I mentioned just a little bit ago, is they're starting to shave the counties that are to the west of the cold front. So the Tulsa Metroplex areas just to the east of OKC, they're starting to trim that as the system makes its way further to the east. So we're still under the gun for this severe weather, but that is until 9 o'clock tonight. Okay, so that is, and we need to start getting ready for this to eventually make its way into Washington County. And folks, this is what we were talking about here. Nothing in northwest Arkansas yet, but we're doing our due diligence. We're keeping an eye on this storm because these are what's going to be making its way into our area. And take a look at this newest warning. This is for Adair County. And this is getting very close to the state line between Arkansas and Oklahoma. This may eventually clip portions of Washington County and into Benton County. And it's looking a little bit more intense in that last scan. Let's take a look. And I actually want to leave the Fort Smith site. Let's go a little bit closer from the Tulsa radar site. This might give us a little bit better of a view. Yeah, and that is still some pretty impressive rotation. I'm not going to lie, that is a impressive couplet near Dry Creek and 10 Killer. So if you're in the community of Dry Creek and 10 Killer, this is a very impressive signature that's moving into your area. There very could well be a tornado on the ground. I want to actually see what the normalized looks like on this one. It's not as intense. You don't see those reds on there. When you typically see those yellows turning to red, that's indicative that the tornado is most likely on the ground, and that is strong rotation. Right now we have the light green turning to yellow, but we don't have those reds yet. Still a tornado vortex signature, but I don't see those reds. I don't see debris either on our debris. But take a look at the inflow. Look at that inflow notch feeding into the storm. There is a little hook right here that is forming. This is an impressive cell, and we want to respect this storm just because if you're not paying attention to this, this could very well be a dangerous situation here in the next little bit as this continues to potentially produce tornadoes. It has had a history of producing some tornadoes when it was back closer to Gore, Oklahoma, and Paradise Hill. But right now, if you're in 10 Killer, you want to be seeking shelter now. That is a impressive storm. Look at this little inflow notch. It's almost this mouth feature where you can see that hook, and here's the inflow that's feeding into that hook. This is a pretty concerning storm. So again, like we said, it's not in northwest Arkansas yet, but if we zoom out all the way, take a look at where this is located. So again, this is not to scare you. This is not to freak you out or anything like that. We're giving you as much ample timing as possible in northwest Arkansas, because while this is not there yet, it's knocking on our doorstep, and we want to make sure that we are vigilant with this as it makes its way into our area. Outside of that, we don't really have a whole lot going on. There is a little bit of rain down here to the southeast of Fayetteville and to the east of Fort Smith, but really nothing going on right now except for these storms knocking on our doorstep. And Max, if you can hear me, let's see if we can put the tower cam up and see if we can get a view of that dark sky. And if you can't right now, that's perfectly fine. I just want to see if we can get a view of what's coming in. So this is viewed kind of in the general direction. You can see that dark, ominous sky off to the west. You can see those clouds that are zipping from the south to the north, and that's that wind shear that we're dealing with. Not a whole lot of structure you can see, but there is a dark sky that we're looking off to the west. So this is not immediately a tornado risk for Washington County right now or Fayetteville, but you're taking a live look from the Humphreys Hall tower cam at just the dark, ominous sky that's moving in, and of course those lower clouds that are zipping across the area. So see, no new updates there. Okay, so let's go back to radar real quick. And yeah, like we said, Nothing going on in northwest Arkansas right now, but the reason that we're on with you is we are tracking these storms as they move into northwest Arkansas, and that's Washington and Benton counties. No warnings for our areas yet, but take a look at that storm that's going to eventually be making its way into our area. And this is near Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and this is knocking on the doorstep of the state line. So it's right here. It is just around the community of Tahlequah. It's just to the south of there. Let's zoom in on that and see if we can get a couple more communities in there. And it is right over 10 killer. And I tell you what, that hook is looking more impressive every scan. So that could be a storm that starts to reproduce a tornado. And if we get any new information, let me know, because I have a feeling that this is not done producing yet. Still a pretty noticeable signature there. It's probably going to recycle. Let's see. It's probably going to start recycling here in a minute if it's not already. Okay, we accidentally selected the higher tilt. That's my bad. But right now, as you can see, take a look at this velocity couplet right here near Rocky Mountain and 10 killer. This is a pretty concerning velocity couplet. This is what we call gate-to-gate shear. And if you weren't tuning in earlier, gate-to-gate is when you have these greens coming together with these reds. And notice how the reds go from the darker red to the orange, and then the green goes from the dark green to the almost yellow, and then the light greens there. This is called gate-to-gate because it's right next to each other. And green from this radar site is moving, I believe, away from the radar, and then red is moving towards the radar from the Tulsa site there. So we're looking from the Tulsa radar, and this is our normalized rotation tool. And the more I'm looking at this, if you were watching earlier, I said we weren't seeing those reds at the time, but looky here, the red has come back. So there is some strong rotation with this. This might be starting to recycle and may eventually produce again if it's not already. We're going to take a look. Okay, radar confirmed tornado in 10 killer. We don't want to overhype this, but this is our debris tracking tool, and this is going to show us where a tornado would be located. We have a confirmed tornado on radar in the community of 10 killer. You're looking at it with us here, folks, as well. And yeah, there is, that is lining up. So what we were just looking at there was we're making sure that it was called co-located. And what we were looking at with co-located is we want to make sure that you see where this hook is, and then let me go to the velocity. You see where the velocity is? They are right on top of each other. So this means that this is on the same page with the radar, because sometimes you can get some messy radar interactions where we have a couple of interference, like side lobe contamination, where it looks like it is where the rotation is, but it's actually just a bad reading. Unfortunately, that debris was not some sort of bad reading. It looks like we do continue to have, tornado, we have a TDS now, tornado debris signature near the community of Rocky Mountain, and this is near the community of 10 killer. And I want to see if we can go back and get our other NextRad app working here in just a second. But I want to run through these tornado safety tips. So if you're in 10 killer right now, okay, now it's confirmed. You saw it with us here, folks, before the warning was upgraded to that. We saw the debris pop up on that last scan. Weather Service is in agreement. They have just updated that to a tornado warning that is confirmed. But if you are in these areas, seek shelter. Grab hard sole shoes. Protect yourself with pillows and blankets, protective sporting equipment. If you're in a house, do you see the centermost room? Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Centermost room. Bathroom or closet, sturdy structure, lowest floor. You're going to want to get there. Don't be in a mobile home, an RV, or a portable home. Let's go. If you're in an apartment in these areas, make sure if you are on a top floor and there's no, center stairwell or anything like that, get to knock on your neighbor's door, get to know them, seek shelter on the lowest floor. And then let's go back to our general tornado safety tips. Lowest floor, sturdy building, centermost closet or bathroom, and make sure that you cover yourself with protective sporting equipment, pillows, blankets, stuff like that, and make sure that you ride out this storm. But this is a very dangerous situation. And you can see our box just upgraded to orange. When you see on the radar with us here, red is going to be a general tornado warning. Orange means it is confirmed. And then we're not going to probably see anything higher than that generally today, but we have the boxes that are labeled up here on the banner so you can see what those mean. Continued tornado just to the northeast of 10 Killer. There is a large debris signature, and it is continuing here, so there is unfortunately a damaging tornado confirmed there as well. Here's a look. The notch is not as defined, but where you see this little yellow right here, this is the inflow notch. It's starting to kind of occlude on itself, so it's starting to wrap around itself, but there is still that inflow feeding into that. This is what we call a stinger hook. It's not that, you know, big hook echo like what you see where it almost looks like Italy, a giant. This is going to be a stinger hook because it's very small. There's a little bit of inflow feeding into it, but that does not downplay the severity of what is happening here. So continuing to see debris signature with this. See if there's anything else from the Weather Service. Any sort of confirmation after that. I see where they said that it was upgraded to a confirmed tornado, but I'm looking to see if anyone has any sort of visual on that. And unfortunately, no updates there. Let's do this real quick. Let's zoom back out. And let's go back to the reflectivity. And again, we're with you live right now, not because there's a tornado warning in Fayetteville or Rogers or anything like that. No warnings here. But what you're looking at here is Washington and Benton counties is in the direction of these storms in northeast Oklahoma, making their way to the area around, let's say, the northeast. These have been shifting in their speed. Sometimes they're 25. At one point, one of these warnings was at 50 miles an hour. But these are going to be making their way into Washington and Benton counties here pretty soon. So that's what we're looking at here. So let's zoom back in on this real quick. And again, if you're tuning in now, no confirmed tornado in the Fayetteville, Bentonville, any of those areas like that. Okay, so that's some good news. So the Adair and Cherokee County warning just expired. That's that warning that was just to the north and east of the north and west of this, excuse me. And I tell you what, this storm is still holding on. I do not like that hook echo. As you saw just a second ago, it looked like it was starting to occlude, but that hook is now more defined, and still seeing unfortunately a tornado debris signature with that. That's that triangle with the line on the bottom. That's our TVS indicating that there is confirmed debris on radar, and unfortunately that red is back on our normalized rotation tool, and this is going to be making its way eventually close to the communities of Eldon, close to Christie, close to Barron, close to Westville, and then eventually, if it holds together, this could come close to the community of Watt, Siloam Springs, Rhea, maybe Lincoln. It's just dependent on if this continues its north-northeast track, or if it starts to turn a little bit to the north and east. So there's no warnings yet for Washington or Benton counties, but I do want anyone who's in Siloam Springs, Watts, even Rhea, if you're in these areas, this storm is coming close to you. So it's probably a good idea to start thinking about where to shelter in around the next 15 to 30 minutes or so, just because this storm is making its way to you. And right now, unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's starting to let up. Not to say that this is going to continue to produce a tornado, but when we have a debris signature that's on it for several scans now, this is a concerning, especially because wow. I tell you what, this is a pretty dangerous tornado that is still ongoing. I want to take a couple of scans because if that debris signature starts to expand, this may have lifted. It's still there, but we need to be keeping a very close eye on that. Let's go back to the velocity. It's a little bit messier. And there's some of that cell interaction that I was talking about just a little bit ago. That cell to the south, I want to put this into motion real quick and see. These two are starting to interact with each other. So outside of this one near 10 killer, if you're near Dry Creek, you may need to start watching. We have another area of rotation that's starting to show up with our normalized rotation, and that's this area right here near Dry Creek. So if we see that cell interaction, there might be two areas that we're looking here. So Dry Creek, go ahead and just stay in shelter, just because we have that new area. When you get the cell interaction, these might start to hand off, and this might take over. Not confirming that yet, but we're keeping a close eye on it, just because this one has been the confirmed tornado, but once we get this cell interaction, we might need to start watching that one down there. If you're still in the path of this, you need to be in shelter. That is for the community of Barron and Westville. If you're still in the path of the storm, you need to be in shelter, just because that is a pretty concerning, damaging tornado that is still occurring. I want to see if we can get this one up and running. Let's go to our level 2 data, and I want to see if we can put a track on this. This is our live scan, so it's got the radar beam that's going to be sweeping around the screen. You'll see that here. And I want to see if we can zoom in and get some times of arrival on this. And we will go to our manual track. I'll put a storm track on this for those who are in the storm's path. So let's zoom back out. And okay, so there's a confirmed tornado to 3 miles east of Eldon with that storm, and I believe that the storm is moving. The storm vector is saying that this is moving closer to about 47 miles an hour. So we're gonna go a little bit quicker than that. We're gonna do 50 miles an hour, pick it up just a little bit, just so we give a little bit more time for people to see, just because we want to give you as much warning as possible, just because when these times of arrival typically go up, people will think, oh, they'll take the times literally and think, oh, you know, I have 15 minutes till it hits, I have plenty of time. You want to get to your shelter immediately if you're in the path of that storm. Again, Washington and Benton counties, you are not in the path, or you are not in a warning right now, but you are in the path of this storm. So the times of arrival for this, if this storm holds together and it continues to produce potential tornadic activity, that's when we're going to start to be watching. We don't want to scare you in Benton County. We know that there's a lot of fear from the tornadoes this previous May. So this is not to scare you. This is to give you ample warning that there is a storm that is producing tornadic activity, and it is making its way closer to the northwest Arkansas area. So the times of arrival for this will be Westville at 3:45, Siloam Springs at 3:56, again, if it holds together. Cave Springs 4:16, Lowell at 4:21, and then again, if it holds together, it's not a guarantee it will. It'll eventually make its way closer to Bentonville around 4:23, and then Pea Ridge at 4:32. So that's a look at the times of arrival with that. Let's go back to our enhanced radar. And this is why we're giving you that ample time. I really don't like that this is continuing to hold itself together. This has been probably, not to overhype it, this has been probably one of the most impressive tornadoes I've seen so far today with the system, just because this was not so far one of those quick, you know, it came up on radar and went away, spin up tornadoes. This is consistently a damaging tornado, and it is just to the southwest of the community of Barron. Let's zoom in a little bit closer. And I believe that that's the community of West Peavine that this is just to the west of. So that's the one that the radar warning box is covering. If you're in Christie, if you're in Barron, if you're in West Peavine, you need to be in shelter right now. Same with Westville. This is a very dangerous storm. This continues to produce an intense debris signature. And when we see the normalized rotation is not showing those reds, that hook is still a nasty hook. Notice this inflow notch right here. It's, again, a stinger hook. It's not one of those big, impressive boot hook echoes with a large supercell. This has been a fairly consistent tornado, too. Hopefully we start to see this wind down and it's not producing anymore, but right now you need to be treating it as if it was producing a tornado because we still have the debris signature. Notice this notch right here continuing. Let's take a look at the latest scan with that velocity couplet and notice this is still a very noticeable large rotation. That's not meaning that it is a big tornado, but this is a large rotation aloft that we're looking at there. And there is still that gate-to-gate motion that we're keeping a close eye on. And then, of course, big debris signature. That is a very dangerous storm. Let's go back to, and there's that latest scan, still TBS ongoing. This storm is not letting up so far, and this is why we are letting you know in northwestern Washington County and in southern and southwestern Benton County, if this holds together, this will eventually make its way to those areas. And this is not to alarm you. This is to give you as much ample time as possible just because this storm is knocking on our doorstep. And I want to go back to the times of arrival with our other system. Again, no warning yet for Washington or Benton County, but take a look at this. This is the path that is taking it potentially into portions of Washington and Benton counties. Again, not to scare you. This is not a guarantee that this is going to produce a tornado in these areas. We have a tornado on the ground. It's been confirmed by radar. Some visual has been seen as well. But what we want to help let viewers know is this is moving in this general direction. We don't want it to produce anything. We're not saying it is going to, but we're saying it's moving in this direction, and if it holds its act together in the environment that it is, it's not letting up so far, it will eventually make its way into portions of Washington and Benton counties. So the times of arrival with this storm, if you missed it just a second ago, Siloam Springs most likely at 3:56 around that time. Don't take these literally. Just it's a guesstimate from the system. Lowell at 4:21, and then if it holds together, it'll eventually be closer to the Bentonville area, 4:23, and Pea Ridge at 4:32. Okay, and is that on campus? Okay, so we're receiving some information that because we have these storms moving in, and again, let's zoom back out for this, and we'll let you know more on that in just a second. Let's go back to the general radar. Because storms are moving in, we have gotten some word that some of the apartments that are off campus are sending residents emails on what to do in the event of a warning. Again, no warnings for Fayetteville right now, but if you're at an apartment off campus, some of you might be receiving some emails from management at different apartments on campus. And what was the apartment that we heard? Okay, so the marshal has sent residents kind of instructions on what to do in the event of a tornado warning. Again, we don't have a warning in Fayetteville right now, but we're keeping an eye because we know this 49 corridor, we have a lot of friends and family in this area, and we want to make sure that they are staying safe, they're staying informed, and when we have storms knocking on our doorstep, that's not good news. And let's see what the latest update is with this. Siloam Springs, you're not in a warning. Same with Watts. But if I were both of these communities, I would definitely be keeping a close eye on this. This storm is not letting up, and this is not to, this is not to scare you. This is just to let you know this is a strong storm that's making its way to these areas that are just on the state line, northwest Washington County, southwest Benton County. Still have a confirmed tornado. I will say that debris signature is not as large as it was just a little bit ago, but at the same time, we're looking further and further out from the Tulsa radar site. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the Fort Smith. This is probably going to be equally far away And this one is still showing a tornado debris signature with it too. All right, so I'm going to zoom in over here, and we're going to show you kind of what this is doing from the Fort Smith radar site. Again, Northwest Washington County, no warning. Southwest Benton County, no warning. But this is continuing to look rather impressive. It's not letting up. And just to be completely safe, we are still looking at the potential for, okay, new tornado warning was just issued. And this does include portions of, let's see, making sure it didn't just pop up on the map. Okay, so this is for Washington and Benton counties. So Washington and Benton counties, this does not include the city of Fayetteville. This does not include Bentonville yet. But if this holds together, it might eventually. But right now, when we're talking Washington and Benton counties, we know people are worried. They're asking about Rogers. They're probably asking about Bentonville, Springdale, Fayetteville, those areas. But this warning is not going to include them yet. Fayetteville might be completely clear from this if this continues to move to the northeast. But what I'm concerned about is this, now that the box just loaded, the box is now indicating that this has more of an eastward turn. So in Fayetteville, go ahead and just keep a very close eye on this. Stay with us here. But this could eventually pose a threat. If this continues to move, instead of to the northeast, if this starts to do an eastward turn, this will come close to the Fayetteville area. Not saying it's going to hit it, but these areas in northern Washington County, southern Benton County, we need to be keeping an eye on this. This is a, yeah. Okay, so this is a concerning situation. National Weather Service is saying that this is a observed tornado, and it has a considerable damage. And it was located over Christie, moving east, northeast, around 45 miles an hour. So where you see this red and white box right here, this is not the orange box that we saw a little bit earlier. This is indicative of what we call a particularly dangerous situation. We don't say that lightly. But the new warning system has basically damaged thresholds where you have considerable, destructive, confirmed tornado, and then regular tornado warning if the storms are capable. But this is a considerable damage warning for the risk of a pretty significant tornado moving into Washington County here in just a little bit. So this is a very dangerous storm, and we don't say this lightly, but the National Weather Service is calling this a particularly dangerous situation with the warning verbiage. We'll show you that here. Okay, and Weather Service saying a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado was on the ground located over Christie, moving to the northeast. Okay, take the tower cam real quick and see if we can see that dark sky, see if there's any structure. I'm doubting that we will, but I just want to take a look there. And again, huge shout out to our producer, Max, here. He's being a lifesaver with this broadcast, helping us out here today. And again, that dark, ominous sky. This is not for Fayetteville yet, but if this continues to move east, it could very well be knocking on our doorstep. But Westville, Oklahoma, Rhea, Arkansas, you need to be in your shelter right now. Gotcha. Yeah. Let's see here. I'm trying to see if there's any sort of information. Let's go back to the radar real quick. And again, we're not saying this to hype it up. We're not saying this, lightly. Take it from me. I don't say this stuff lightly, but when the Weather Service is saying that this is a dangerous situation, you have to take it seriously. The warning does include Siloam Springs just because it could track to the north. But right now, not in immediate danger there, but you need to be in shelter. Same with Watts, you need to be in shelter. Westville, Oklahoma, you need to be in shelter. This is a confirmed, and I quote, large and extremely dangerous tornado, and it is capable of producing destructive damage, or considerable damage, excuse me, and it is making its way to the state line, and it's making its way into northwest Washington County. Still seeing those bright reds, and unfortunately, a large tornado still producing damage near the community of Christie. And I hate to say it, but there's probably major damage near the community of Christie. All right, and to the south of that, so we need to start getting ready here in Fayetteville. Not saying this to overhype. Fayetteville needs to be ready for the potential of tornadic activity in the next half hour. New tornado warning. This includes portions of Washington County. So we have these two storms. One is producing a large, dangerous tornado, and then another tornado warning. These are moving into Washington County. And if you are in Washington County, if you're in Fayetteville, you need to start preparing. No warning for Fayetteville yet, but we have both of these storms warned. Both of these storms are moving towards the area. Prairie Grove, these communities need to be seeking shelter now. Again, I hate to say it, but this is a very concerning tornado moving into northwest Washington County. Any update here? And that other warning for Adair and Cherokee is until 4:15. And let's check that out there. Just a little bit of rotation with that. Not to downplay it. It's not matured yet to where I think it is producing a tornado like the one to the north. As you can see, there is some rotation right here where those greens and reds are coming together. But this is the more significant tornado. In fact, this is still, I hate to say it, a dangerous tornado moving into near the community of Westville. Let's actually do this. So what we have here is a pretty powerful radar that can show us a 3D scan of what's going on, and I want to see how tall that debris is on this radar. Let's see if we can go back in time. Closer. Sometimes it's a little bit off, but we'll do this. Let's go and see how tall that debris signature is. Let's see if we can go back a couple of these scans. Okay, so that's not working right now, but we will check that here in just a second. Again, so let's see here. No new information coming in. Outside of the tornado warning, there is a new mesoscale precipitation discussion. We're not going to focus on that yet, but what those are is with severe weather, you have mesoscale discussions where the Weather Service will call the office of a certain area and say, we think the watch should be for this if it's for severe weather. This is a mesoscale precipitation. This is from the Weather Prediction Center where they're saying that there is a potential for heavy rainfall. So outside of this, once we get through this concerning tornado, then we're going to be talking about flash flooding being a risk with everything that follows after this. But again, Weather Service still continuing this warning as a considerable tornado warning, particularly dangerous situation, and the warning still saying a, quote, large and extremely dangerous tornado was occurring, and you can still see it there. This is moving close to the community of Westville, and I want to actually go back to the other system here and see if we can throw on some roads there so people who are in the storm's path know exactly what to do, where to go, and if you know those roads, definitely get to shelter. So let's go back to that. Those roads are not plotting up there, so we'll do that here in just a second. But actually, while we're here, let's do this. Not sure why it's not plotting both, unless they decided to cancel that. They did not. So that one's not loading up correctly. We'll go back to this in just a second. In fact, that might actually need to be rebooted. So I will reboot that, but we're going to stick with this radar source. Close that out. We will go back to that here in just a second. But if you live in the community of Watts, if you live in Rhea, Prairie Grove, get ready to seek shelter. Lincoln, get ready to seek shelter as well. No warning for you guys yet, but this is still a concerning storm just because we have that tornado warning to the south and west of you. Eventually, you need to be considering what to do in the event of a tornado. Same with Fayetteville. No warning for Fayetteville yet, but this is knocking on our door, and we want to make sure that you're ready for the potential of tornadic activity. Still, this is an incredible storm. Unfortunately, still producing potentially quite a bit of damage. There's that debris signature still lofted, and that is moving close to the community of Westville. And this road right here where the mouse is, this is going to be Highway 59, and it looks like the tornado right now is moving between the community of Watts and Westville. The radar scan says it's not crossing 59 yet, but I do believe you that about a minute, and then it will be pretty soon. And let's go back to this real quick while I'm thinking about it. If you're in this tornado's path, seek shelter, centermost room, bathroom, closet, lowest floor of a sturdy structure. Do not be near exterior walls. Do not be in a mobile home. Do not be in a portable home, an RV, or a car. Lowest floor, centermost room, bathroom, closet. Make sure that you put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Don't be near windows. Don't be near exterior walls. You want to be in shelter now just because this storm we've been showing you is potentially a significant tornado, unfortunately, and it continues to produce damage. Because this is moving into the area, I do want to share this live stream. Sorry. I want to share this just to see if we can get as many people who need to see this. And do we have any new information, Max, while I'm typing this up? Okay. Oh, no, you're good. Thanks for passing that along. Let's go back to the radar here. PDS tornado warning continues. Again, we have to respect this storm, folks. This is not something you mess around with. Unfortunately, if you've seen my updates throughout the day on Twitter, I've been saying that this is going to be a day that has the potential to produce strong, potentially significant tornadoes. And unfortunately, this looks to be what we were talking about today. This has been producing tornadoes for quite a while, since near Gordon, Oklahoma, and I'm going to just, or Gore, Oklahoma, and I'm just going to show you just how long this has been ongoing with that. In fact, let me actually see real quick. I want to see if I can put this on there. Let's see what the debris. Let's go to PTDS. Yeah, and just to show you, this is not the live debris, so this is not multiple tornadoes. This is the history of the track of this storm. Notice the debris signature has been with it all the way since northwest of Marietta. So this is still a concerning storm that's moving in to northwest Washington County. That's not something you want to see. This is a long track tornado. If you're just now tuning in with us, the time now, we'll get to that. The time now is 3:57. Okay, so we have confirmed damage in Cherokee County. Trees down. That report just came in. Yeah, so northwest Washington County, if you're between Westville and Watts, Highway 59, this is still a concerning, particularly dangerous situation, tornado. This is still, I believe this is still a large extremely dangerous tornado. The warning called for that, and this is not one of those tornadoes that it forms and then it disappears. This is one of those long track tornadoes that is producing potentially significant damage. You don't see that quite often where it's producing damage for long paths and it's a weaker tornado. So this is a strong tornado. This is a long track tornado, and this continues to produce damage, and we are still seeing that debris signature on there. So northwestern Washington County, there's not a whole lot of communities out here, but if you're near Watts and Westville, get to shelter immediately. We'll go back through that. And here's your tornado safety guide. And again, lowest floor, centermost room, closet or bathroom. Protect yourself, put on hard sole shoes. We'll show you here what to do if you're in a house. Centermost room, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. We're going to get through this, folks. We're going to get you through this. We want to make sure that we're here with you when this is happening, and we want to give you as much information as possible. We want to let you know where the storm is, where it's going. We're going to get you through this. So stay here with us. We're here with you, and we're tracking this very closely. Again, this is a very concerning tornado, and we've been talking about this. We've been talking about this for quite a bit. I don't really remember how long we've been on here, but we did a little live update a little bit earlier where we mentioned that this was going to be concerning a little bit ago, I believe around closer to about 3 o'clock. So almost an hour now that we've been talking about this tornado. So again, concerning debris signature south of the community of Watts. This is making its way closer into Washington County. We've been zoomed in on this. I'm going to zoom back out and just show you a wide view. And here's what we have going on. We'll go back to regular radar. And again, Fayetteville, there's no warnings yet. Bentonville, there's no warnings yet. But look at this. Okay, we'll take that here in just a second. We'll take a look at our tower cam here. But warnings north of Bentonville for severe thunderstorm. Right now into Benton County, some rain is moving into the area. We're not talking any sort of severe weather yet, but this complex might start to be severe in the next little bit. Still have a tornado warning to the south of this concerning PDS situation. And this is why we're giving you as much warning. If you're in Springdale, if you're in Lowell, if you're in Bentonville, if you're in Fayetteville, Prairie Grove, you want to start thinking about what to do in the event of a tornado warning. You want to start thinking about getting a shelter. There's no warnings for you yet, but this storm has had a history of producing potentially considerable damage and is still producing a tornado. Again, no warnings for you yet, but these 2 tornado-warned storms are making their way into the northwest Arkansas metro. And we'll take a look at the tower cam real quick, Max. And there you can see it. There's not a lot of structure or anything that we can see this far away in terms of a wall cloud. But you can see, and I'm looking out the window here in the studio, that the sky has gotten considerably darker as these are moving in. So these are going to be moving in pretty soon. Any new information, Max, as well? Okay, and thank you for checking on that. Really appreciate your help today. Again, shout out to Max. He's the producer behind the scenes, helping us with the tower cam and everything. So huge thank you to him for helping with this broadcast. So one thing I want to look at is the second tornado warning that's to the south of the most concerning one. And let's take a look. This is over the community of Barron. This is another storm that we're concerned with. It's not confirmed yet, but as you can see, there's a little bit of an inflow notch here. It's not as well defined. This one has been struggling to kind of get its act together. It hasn't taken off, as we say it. It's not one of those storms like the one to the north where it taps into that environment and then it's explosive. This one is capable of producing a tornado. We're not going to downplay this. We're going to respect it. But this is going to be something that we watch too. Okay, the PDS warning continues for Benton and Washington counties. This is on the state line, and this is now on the state line, and it is just to the south of Watts. There's a large area of damaging winds with this. I want to actually see if we had... Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like South Watts maybe seeing some damage. Hopefully, it's not hitting there. See if our PT, yeah, it's still there. So I wanted to take a look at okay, this is a tool that is unique to us. This is what we call the TDEF. Now, this is the computer putting together the conditions of the wind, so it's taking into consideration the shear and the winds that are within the signature with the velocity. And when we start to get into those reds, that is concerning. So this is showing us basically the strength equivalent. And again, this is not to overhype, but right now, this is saying this could be potentially high-end EF2, low-end EF3 strength. Again, we're not going to say that this is that, because we don't get those rankings immediately until the National Weather Service does a full damage survey. But this is helping forecasters determine the kind of intensity that is going on with the tornado. And to me, because we have had this debris signature for so long at various levels of the atmosphere for this long, this could be potentially high-end EF2, low-end EF3 strength. We're not saying it is. We don't want to say it is confirmed that, but this is the computer algorithm telling us the intensities that this could be. So this is potentially still an ongoing significant tornado, and this is moving into Highway 59. So again, not to overhype it, but this is potentially still a significant tornado. This is not a weak tornado. This is not one of those tornadoes that will create some minor shingle damage or a blown out window. This is potentially a very damaging tornado, and we don't say that lightly. The good news is, hopefully, this starts to weaken a little bit, just because we're not seeing that hook with it. It looks like it's starting to get kind of secluded with this merging of storms here, but still, this is a considerable tornado, a very dangerous tornado that is still on the ground, at least in the last couple of scans. No, you're good. Thank you for that. Let's see. So some good news, and again, we don't want to downplay this. You still need to be in shelter. This is a very dangerous storm. But with our PTDS, on the last scan, notice that the debris signature is not there. So hopefully that is a sign that this has finally started to wind down. Again, you need to still be in your shelter, taking this incredibly seriously, as this is still a very dangerous situation. Again, get to shelter, centermost room, lowest floor, interior closet or bathroom. This is still a very dangerous storm. Get away from it. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you're in a mobile home, an RV, or a portable home, get to a place with shelter. Some mobile home parks, they have shelters on site. If you are close to a convenience store and it's not, a 5 to 10 minute walk or drive, if it's super close by, you don't want to travel to it, get to it, hide. They'll show you where to shelter there. But you do not want to be in a mobile home, portable home, anything like that in the event of a tornado. So again, I can't stress enough, you still need to be in shelter, but there is a bright side to this, that we're not seeing that signature with the debris that we were just seeing a minute ago. So hopefully that continues to be the case. I don't think this is done yet. And I want to go back down to the south while there is a temporary let's see. Still looking at the storm to the south of that too. This signature is a little bit messy. There could be a couple different ones here. South of Westville, south of Westville. Let me move that so you can see it. South of Westville. And then there's a little bit of an area further to the west of Barron. It's not that tight, but there's a couple different areas with that. So this one might be recycling. Let's go back up to the north. So this is definitely weakening. And typically when a tornado starts to die, it starts to move directly north. Siloam Springs, you need to be in shelter. This is your early warning. If you're in Siloam Springs, this is taking almost a northward turn. If you're in Siloam Springs, get to shelter. This is a very dangerous storm that has had a history of producing damaging tornadoes. This is a bad storm. You don't want to mess with that. I'm going to text. Let's see. And I believe that one was for the continuation of the one to the south. I'm going to text a buddy in Siloam, tell him to go ahead and shelter. So just to be safe, Siloam Springs, get to shelter. Again, we're not seeing that debris signature, but we don't want to play around with this one just because, again, this is a dangerous storm that has had a history of producing some significant tornadoes. And unfortunately, we'll get more information on the ratings for those at a later date. We told you that the radar intensities were potentially upwards of high-end EF2, low-end EF3 with the winds. Okay, this one just came out of nowhere. This is a wider one, and this includes the city of Fayetteville. So I'm going to go ahead and text my family to tell them to get to shelter just because, family, we're on the broadcast, but family also matters. So we're just going to cover our bases. Hopefully, if you're a Fayetteville viewer, you're also doing the same thing. I'm going to send them the link to this broadcast. And Max, while we're doing this, go ahead and put up the tower cam and take it to the west because we're going to start to see some structure here. Okay, sorry, I'm just texting some friends and stuff to let them know to get to shelter. Okay, so what you're looking at is, if we're going to get a view of this, it's going to be coming in close, and this camera is going to be a pretty good view of this. So that's some good news there. And I'm also sharing this on social media. So what you're looking at there, very dark and ominous sky headed towards Fayetteville. Yeah, you can go ahead and turn it a little bit south, and we'll take a look at what's coming up there. And I just want to state, too, for the UATV staff, we do have this warning. I'm going to keep this going for as long as I can. If this comes close to the studio, you need to get to shelter, of course. Lowest floor, sturdy building. So just prepare for that. And, of course, if you're watching... Okay, so they're headed downstairs. We'll stay with this. What I'm very concerned for, let's go back to the radar. What I'm very concerned for is we're taking a look outside, and I see a lot of people who are not getting to shelter. So you need to be in shelter right now. This is not something to mess around with. This is a confirmed tornado warning, folks. This is not the PDS necessarily, but that doesn't mean it's going to get downplayed, or it should be. Confirmed tornado warning for Fayetteville. I'm going to grab my iPad real quick just so I can show you kind of what's going on. And again, it's a big warning, but what's worrying me is notice to the east of Westville, that is a new tornado area potentially developing. Big circulation near Siloam Springs. That is a dangerous storm, and I think that this is, yeah, so we have two areas right here. Get to shelter if you are in Fayetteville, if you're in Johnson. We've been talking about this. And we've been talking about this for the last almost hour to 2 hours. This is a storm that we've been watching. We've been calling this out for a while, that this was going to be moving into the Fayetteville, potentially Fayetteville, potentially Bentonville area. We're keeping a very close eye on this. This is still a couple different tornadoes that we're watching. One has been confirmed. One is not yet, but it's getting close to it. So we've been telling you for a while, Benton and Washington counties, get ready for this. And I want to go back to this, and I want to put a time of arrival for this because students need to know and they need to get to shelter right now. Again, a confirmed tornado warning. This was observed, and this goes until 4:45. If you are in Fayetteville, you need to be seeking shelter immediately. Let's go to our manual track, and we'll just do a broad one. And this is moving at 50, so we'll go 54. This is the track of that storm. And again, do not take this lightly. I know as college students, there's many people who will make the joke and say, it's not that bad. I'm going to ride this out. You might want to stand outside and see it. This is a dangerous situation, folks. We have one confirmed tornado on the north side of this warning and then another developing one on the south. So if you are in these communities, hear me out. Hear the times, get to shelter as fast as you can just to be completely safe. Farmington at 426, 433, Fayetteville, Springdale 435. Okay, so Lowell 437, Rogers 439. This is probably going to hold its act together all the way through that. I hate to say that, but this has been producing tornadoes, and now we have two areas that we're watching with this. And okay, Highway 16, Benton County, confirmed tornado. Folks, you need to get into shelter right now. We're not trying to scare you with this. Incredibly dangerous situation. We have still seen a dangerous tornado. Move to shelter. Shelter in your home. Centermost room, closet, bathroom, lowest floor. Make sure that you're getting to shelter. Additionally, for students who are in apartments, make sure that you're getting to the lowest floor, centermost room, closet, bathroom. If there's a stairwell with no windows, make sure that you are in there. You don't want to be near windows, exterior walls. If you're in one of those apartments where it's kind of stacked, where there's a unit on top of a unit and there's an outdoor staircase, get to the bottom floor, knock on your neighbor's door, seek shelter with them to your closet or bathroom. No one should be walking on the University of Arkansas campus. Still seeing a lot of people out here walking, and hopefully they're turning into this or one of the local stations, but you need to be in shelter now. Max, do you know if you can hear the siren on campus? I don't think they've activated our siren here yet. Okay, so no RAS alert and no siren. I didn't hear it either. It's not here yet, but the warning does include a portion of Fayetteville, which is kind of strange that we don't have the RAS alert or anything yet. There's a lot of people walking out, and that's concerning to me. Confirmed tornado, and as I was saying, near Siloam Springs, get to shelter. This is still on the ground near Siloam Springs, potentially. We had that report a little bit ago that there may have been a tornado that was still up there. See, is that a new? Okay, and then outside of this, we need to watch. Okay, so no sirens or anything sounding on campus. Fayetteville is included in the warning, and just to be safe, get to shelter. Confirmed tornado now. There's the little NWS spotter box to highlight that. And we'll zoom in on this. This is 2 miles northeast of Lake Francis, and a trained weather spotter observed a tornado crossing Highway 16 with debris in the air. We have another report back when this was in Adair County, and this was for a 76-mile-per-hour wind that was recorded, and this is from a station that they think was close to where the tornado was. Again, there's a couple different areas with this, and as this starts to become more of a kind of broken line, to say so. Okay, so this is. Okay, so we have more information coming in. There is another. We have two areas of rotation here, and I want to go back to. I want to go back to this. So we have this tornado warning, and then to the south of this, there's another one that we need to be watching too. Sirens are sounding in Rogers. Again, if I zoom into the north, this does not include Bentonville and Rogers yet, but I have to believe, because they want people to be very aware of the risk, that there is probably sirens there. We have heard reports that sirens were going off in Rogers. The warning's not there yet, but it's making its way there. So, get ready to shelter if you're in Benton County, from Bentonville to Pea Ridge all the way to about Rogers, Lowell, Springdale. Start considering your tornado precautions. But again, we have to be watching this one too. We're keeping an eye on this one, but this storm to the south is now tornado warned as the last little bit. And what we're watching with this is this would eventually be making its way into Washington County as well. So we have quite a bit of activity here. Two potential tornado. And the other thing too, just while we're at it, this is not the most concerning risk, of course, but what we're watching here is this is the hail core with this storm. And we're recording, based off of radar, this could be close to about golf ball sized hail. So outside of the tornado risk, there is also the risk that this is starting to potentially be capable of quarter to golf ball sized hail, at least based off of radar. So what we're looking at with that is, of course, Washington, Benton counties, in the southwest portion of Benton County, north and northwest portions of Washington County, tornado warning. This is for a confirmed tornado. We have had a history of confirmed tornadoes with this storm. These two cells have basically merged, so this is not the supercell that it was. This is now two areas of rotation with kind of a broken line of storms that's starting to merge together. So we have. Okay, and which highway was that? Okay, so we have Okay, so right here, and I will check that, there is some information that we're being told that I believe it might be Highway 40. One of the roads into Siloam Springs was closed, potentially due to the tornadic activity. We will follow up on that when we get more, so check back for the latest updates. But right now, if you are in the path of the storm, Bentonville, Rogers, Lowell, Springdale, go ahead and start considering what to do in the event of a tornado. Start, preparing for your tornado precautions. If you're not sure what to do, again, starting off with apartment tornado safety. I was kind of shocked with how many people had no idea what to do in the event of a tornado with a house, and I'm assuming that many don't know what to do in the event of an apartment. It's perfectly fine. Northwest Arkansas, we have people from all over the country. Many areas don't experience the severe weather that we get, so many people don't know how to shelter. We're here to help you with that. If you're in an apartment, get to the lowest floor. If there's an interior stairwell with no windows and there's many walls between you and outside, get there. If you're in a stacked apartment unit where there's an outdoor staircase and that's not safe to do, get to the lowest floor, knock on your neighbor's door and say, hey, can I shelter with you? This storm's coming in. Shelter and get to know your neighbor. Additionally, make sure that you are anywhere else, lowest floor, sturdy structure, centermost room, closet, or bathroom. Cover yourself with pillows and blankets. Centermost room, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. It looks like this if you're in a house. Centermost room, see these exterior walls are nowhere near it. You have these walls that are guarding you between the exterior. Don't be near windows or exterior walls. That can be dangerous. Put on hard sole shoes, cover yourself with pillows and blankets, and of course we're going to get you through this. So, okay, we need to be watching this very carefully, not to cause any alarm, but this signature, it looks like this is becoming the more dominant tornadic signature, and this is going to be the southern rotation that we were looking at. So this might be handing off. Let me go back here. That zoomed in a little too far. Sorry for the radar to be all over the place. So Tawnytown, Johnson, Fayetteville, north sides of Fayetteville, Elm Springs, you're going to want to get to shelter. This is going to be moving in here pretty soon. And let's see here. So we're starting to see these light greens, these dark greens coming to light green here. We're watching this, and notice where there's that little bit of red. This signature has come up in the last couple of scans. No debris with it yet, but we're keeping a close eye on that just because this could be very close to trying to produce. And again, there's a little bit of an inflow notch right here. So the radar is showing that there is some rotation with this that is of concern. We're keeping an eye on it. Heads up to the community of Johnson, Tawnytown, Elm Springs, North Fayetteville as well. So if you're in those communities where this storm is headed, make sure that you're getting to shelter, seeking shelter now while you still have some time. In fact, I'm going to go back here one more time. And we're going to go and do a storm track of this storm. So this is moved from where we had the storm track last. I want to zoom in a little bit here and see if we can get, we'll do a broad, nope. We'll do a broad track of this just so you know where this will be and kind of at what time. Don't take these times literally and think that you have, 15, 20 minutes to kind of go wherever, grab a snack, something like that. When a warning is issued, you want to get to shelter as quickly as possible, just because. Okay, some more reports that sirens are going off in Bentonville. Again, Bentonville is not in the tornado warning yet. I do believe that if this continues to hold its act together, that there will be additional warnings extending into further into Benton County. But here's a look at the track, and this is the towns that we have. And Cave Springs, 434, there's that live scan NextRad beam. This is the absolute latest data coming in. And Elm Springs, Tawnytown, 434, Lowell, 440, Rogers, 441, and then Berryville at 516. So that's a look at what we've got going on there. We'll go back to our enhanced radar data. And still watching that area very, very closely. And you see where those light greens are almost yellow. This is where the stronger rotation is located. Now, I will say from the last scan, we are not seeing that, reds that we were seeing just a little bit ago. Max, let's go ahead and take the tower cam real quick. I think that this is going to start getting into a better view here. And let's pan this to the right a little bit. There we go. And look at that. There's some low-hanging features that you can see there. Again, that's probably not our wall cloud. That's probably what we call a scary-looking cloud. Typically, you'll get these little scud clouds when you have these storms like this. But if we're going to see anything, it's probably going to be right about in that area. Trying to see if I can see anything outside from this window. We're at the UATV studios, and we have a big, beautiful window outside with a look to the outside from Kimpel Hall. And what we're trying to see here is, I'm trying to see if I can see anything. That is interesting. I wonder if that might be the wall cloud off in the distance with this. Let's go back there. We might even zoom in on that little feature. I'm going to come back there real quick and see, because I want to see too. See if we can see. Sorry, I turned off my mic just for a second, just so there was no overlap of the audio here. We're taking a quick look off in the distance here, where we saw some kind of a lowering. Again, some scary looking clouds, but if we're going to see any type of wall cloud, I'm assuming just based off of the distance and where our camera's located, that's probably going to be where we would see anything. Or what's left if this is finally starting to weaken. You can see there's a little bit of what looks like a lowering. It doesn't look that concerning wall cloud wise. That might be the wall cloud there. It's hard to tell though, just because this is so far away. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. Again, there's some scary looking clouds or scud clouds that you can see there. Let's go back to our velocity real quick and just see. We'll be keeping a close eye on that. Well, yeah, thanks, Max. We'll do a double box here, just so people can see what we're talking about there. And if you're able to get that up, that's fine. If not, that's fine as well. We'll just continue on here. Again, shout out to Max. He's a tremendous help behind the scenes here. And again, keeping a close eye on that just in case we see anything out of that camera. This is looking to the northwest, and this is zoomed in pretty good too. So again, right now, fortunately, this doesn't look as impressive as it was, and that's some good news here. I do think that this is going to start to potentially let up. In fact, we don't have the confirmed box anymore. That's some good news there. So if you're just now tuning in, no confirmed tornado anymore, but there is still a tornado warning. Still, please take this seriously, folks. The environment that we're in, we've seen this time and time again. This may, start to recycle and start to look a little bit concerning again here in the next little bit. Okay. Let me see what graphic that is. Is that the downstream warning potential? Okay, you can always throw that up if you want. So they were just telling me. So the National Weather Service, go ahead and follow them on all of social media. The experts in the field, they have all the latest information. They have a graphic that they posted for the tornadic thunderstorms and the danger over the next 1 to 2 hours. And you can see they highlighted the majority of Washington County, portions of Sebastian County, and Benton County, and the potential for downstream risk for maybe tornado warnings, and then, of course, the damaging wind potential with these. While we're thinking about it, let's go back to the one box real quick. And one thing that I want to go back to is I'm still keeping a close eye on this one near Greasy, Oklahoma, and Cherry Tree. This one has not had its act together. but it's starting to look a little bit better in the last couple scans. You can see there's a little bit of rotation right here near Greasy, Oklahoma, but it's not as strong as the previous ones that we've been seeing. But again, in this environment, it's going to be easy for these to just take off if we're not careful. So sorry, this is zooming in, just trying to get it so where I can see the full screen. Yeah, so again, here's where that other tornado warning is, and the reason that we're also watching this one, even though it's not in northwest Arkansas, is if you saw that graph just a second ago, notice this is moving to the north and east. So eventually, this will be in Washington County, and this could come close to Dutch Mills, Prairie Grove. No warnings there to those two towns that I mentioned, but downstream, again, here's an additional tornado warning that we're watching. Let's go back up to the north. And we have heard reports that Bentonville, there were possibly sirens sounding. Same with maybe portions of Rogers. And just to be completely clear, right now, no warning for those two locations. The warning is... Okay, and the other thing, too, after this, there is, we were going to have an election show here at UATV, so stay here with us. We've got you covered with that. They've put an incredible amount of work into that. An election update regarding weather. They have shut down voting, where was it again? Washington County Courthouse? Okay, so the Washington County Courthouse, because of the weather, they're not doing the election right now. I guess it's temporarily suspended because the storm's moving in. But, so that's an update there. So if you're headed to vote there, it's not ongoing right now because we have active weather. So that's a quick update there. But again, Bentonville and Rogers, no warning for you right now. But you need to be alert because this storm is getting closer to you. We know there's a tremendous amount of fear with tornadoes, with severe weather, just because of what we had happen in May. We're going to get you through this. You're going to be completely fine. Get to your shelter, and here's a look at shelter safety guides once again. Just get to shelter when a warning is issued. The warning is not issued for you yet, but when a warning is issued, just get to your shelter place. Remain there until the storm has passed. Lowest floor, sturdy structure, interior closet, bathroom. Cover yourself with pillows and blankets. We'll get you through this. This is, again, any severe weather's scary. Take it from someone who grew up with storm anxiety. I used to be terrified of storms, and now, looky here. I am reporting this weather to you and getting you through coverage. So we're going to get you through this. There's no reason to panic. You're going to be fine as long as you're sheltering when a warning is issued, and we're going to get you through this. So just stay here with us, and we're going to make sure that we can get you to safety. Mobile home tornado safety. There is zero safe place to be in a mobile home. So we made this graph. Never, ever shelter in a mobile home. If you are in a risk for tornadoes or if a warning is coming and you have time, get to a sturdy shelter elsewhere. Some mobile home parks have on-site shelters, so see if you can get that. If this storm is moving to you and you're at a mobile home park right now and there's no warning right now and you have some time, preferably 5 minutes or less, get to shelter. Convenience store, you can shelter in their coolers. They'll tell you where to go there. Just get to shelter if you're in a mobile home. Apartments, if you're in an apartment, upper floor, lowest floor. If you're at the upper floor, get to the lowest floor, centermost room, closet, bathroom. A lot of apartments will have centermost bathrooms. They'll have good hallways in the basement. You want to get to the basement level or the lowest floor. If there is a stairwell in the center of your apartment complex with no windows at all, and there's several exterior walls, there's several walls between you and the outside, get there. That's where I sheltered with the people that were in my building on Wednesday when we had that tornado warning. We're going to get you through this, so get there. If you're on those units where it's kind of stacked and there's an outdoor staircase and that's not safe to go, get to the lowest floor, get to know your neighbor, knock on their door, they'll let you in, and then we'll get you through this. Make sure that you're in the centermost room. All right, so right now, I'm just going to take a broad view just because right now it's a lot going on. We've been zoomed in. We've been telling you about these storms. We want to make sure that you're safe. We want to make sure that everyone in Northwest Arkansas knows what's going on so that there's no, fear of, well, where is this? Where is it going? The places that are under the gun right now are northern Washington County, southern and central Benton County. For elsewhere around the region, there's no severe weather off to the east. Just a couple of thunderstorms, maybe some gusty winds, 25 to 30 mile-an-hour winds Not really thinking any small hail with those, but just some thunderstorms off to the east, just your average thunderstorm with that. To the west, notice this line right here that's starting to form. We're not seeing those supercells that we were seeing earlier. We're seeing these kind of merge into almost a broken line, and with that broken line, once these become more linear, as we call it, that's going to shift over from the tornado risk and that hail that we were looking at potentially with some of those storms earlier, and that's going to shift over to a damaging wind risk. But right now, the greatest tornado risk that we have right now is in central and southern Benton County, northern Washington County, and then of course this tornado warning, which is holding on. I believe that's Adair County, and it's making its way closer to Washington County, so we're keeping a close eye on that. Okay, so they continued the Adair County. So that one's holding on. And again, that's one that we're going to continue to watch. Like we said, we're going to get you through this. Okay, so Sequoia and LaFleur counties. These are the Oklahoma counties that are just to the west of the state line. Flood advisory from heavy rainfall with those. So that's another thing that we're going to be talking about. Once we shift over from this being a tornado risk, this is going to become a flash flooding risk. And the reason is, if you've been tuning into UATV, we've had several stories regarding the drought. We had, almost a month without rainfall, and we have had dry conditions, the brief wildfires across the region. The soil is hard and it is dry. When we had that little bit of rainfall, it was not good enough to make that soil where it's going to be able to absorb that moisture. It's going to be tough for it to be absorbing, 1 to 3 inches of rainfall with some of this storm activity today. So flash flooding will be a risk once we get through this tornado risk. Okay, so Okay, and thank you, Max. I also just saw that plot on the radar. So new tornado warning for Benton and Washington counties. Now, just to be clear, for Fayetteville, the warning does not include us anymore. So if you're watching from Fayetteville, if my family's watching, Fayetteville is no longer included in this warning. So the campus is all good for now. Same with Prairie Grove. This storm activity is making its way more to the northeast. So there is a bit of a warning that clips portions of northern Fayetteville near Johnson, but there is no warning for the U of A campus anymore. We're not in that big, broad tornado warning that was there earlier. But we do now have a warning that's radar indicated for Benton and Washington counties. This includes the communities of Lowell, Rogers, and Bentonville. And this is what we were talking about all day today. There was going to be the potential for tornadoes. We have had, several tornadoes, unfortunately, potentially to the west that made their way into the area. Right now, we're not seeing any sort of confirmed tornado, but you don't want to play around with these storms. You want to get to shelter as soon as you can. And I think the greatest concern is just to the west of Lowell. There's a little bit on our normalized rotation tool where you can see those greens are shifting to the brighter greens, not quite yellow yet, but this is where the more concerning rotation would be if there was going to be a forming tornado here at this time. Additionally, we do have a little bit of an inflow notch right here, so we're going to be keeping a very close eye on this. Like we said, we know we have Rogers residents that go to school here. I know many. It's scary because, we had the tornadoes around Memorial Day weekend. We're going to get you through this. We know it's scary. There's a warning. I'm sure sirens are still sounding. We're going to get you through this, so stick around with us. We're going to keep you informed with the latest information. Again, we don't have a confirmed tornado warning with this, but just to be super safe, just go ahead and get to shelter. Take you, your family, your pets to shelter, and those sheltering guides. Let's go to the general one here. This is what to do in the event of a tornado. Like we said, we'll get you through this. Centermost room, lowest floor, center bathroom or closet. Cover yourself with pillows and blankets. Get your pets to shelter. Get your pets and your kids to shelter. Everyone owns a bicycle helmet. If you have one of those, just put it on, go into shelter, sit in there. Continue to watch us or whatever station you want to watch, and we'll get you through this. But get to shelter now. Warnings issued. It's best to just get to shelter. Again, if you're not sure where that is in your home, here's a graphic. The house, the centermost room or bathroom, Notice it's not near any exterior walls. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And then, of course, last but not least, because there's a lot of apartments here in Northwest Arkansas, there's a lot of people here in Northwest Arkansas. If you're in an apartment, lowest floor, basement floor if possible, centermost hallway, bathroom, closet. If there's a stairwell with no windows, get under the stairs if it's in the centermost part of the building. And if you're on one of those kind of townhome layouts where there's a unit stacked on top of a unit, get to know the neighbor below you, knock on the door, they should let you in. Okay, and that's going to be the storm that we're watching to the south. Sorry, just getting a quick drink real quick. So, let's do a wide view real quick. New tornado warning. Should be plotting here momentarily. And this is for this little storm right here that we've been watching. There it is, into Washington County, Adair, Oklahoma, Washington County, Arkansas. We have all this tornado activity, warning-wise, on the radar for here. If you are in the River Valley, there are no warnings for you. Fort Smith, all that, you're clear for now, but keep in mind to the west, there is additional storms and this line moving in. Your risk will be knocking on your door relatively soon. The main concern right now is, of course, friends and family here in Northwest Arkansas from Benton County. Okay, if you want to take tower cam, go ahead. Let's see what that looks like. Oh yeah, there's a good view of those storms. Let's pan to the right just a little bit. And there's that storm, and there's the view of that storm as it's moving to the north. Again, this isn't any sort of wall cloud or anything. Typically, when you get these tornadic storms, there's a lot of false, lookalikes, if you will. It's called scud, and we call those scary-looking clouds. So this is the backside of the storm. This is not going to be necessarily hold on, as I'm talking about that, it's got a view to the south of that one storm on radar. But again, this is the backside of the storm. This isn't the dangerous part of it. The dangerous part is going to be more to the north near the community of Lowell. So that's a look at our tower cam. Let's go back to radar real quick. And I hate to bounce around, but this one near Stillwell, Oklahoma is looking pretty concerning now. And this would be what eventually makes its way into Prairie Grove. And yeah. So there is a fairly decent potential that there is a developing tornado near Stillwell. While we're at it, I'm going to go to the north, just because, like we said, there's a lot of anxiety because of the storms in May with residents that are in Benton County, and we're going to keep on this until the one to the south becomes an issue in Washington County. We'll be keeping on this. Again, if there was going to be a tornado, it would be probably developing to the northwest of Lowell. That's where that stronger wind is. But the good news for now, and again, don't downplay this. Go ahead and get to shelter and just wait till this passes. The good news is right now there is not that, giant red circle with that signature. And that's some good news there. Nothing on our debris signature either. So that's some good news there. Again, you're getting heavy rain in Bentonville. You're getting heavy rain moving towards Rogers and Pea Ridge, Bella Vista, and it's moving into Lowell too. So besides the severe weather risk, there's a lot of rainfall with this too. We'll boot that up here in just a second to show you those rain totals in a little bit. But right now, still keeping an eye on 2 tornado warnings, this one in Benton and Washington counties, and then this one in Adair and Washington counties too. So 2 storms. While we're at it, just moving to the east, if you're in Japton, Witter, Red Star, Weathers, Kingston, Marble, all this activity that's behind me, this is just heavy rain and some lightning. This isn't any sort of severe activity right now. We don't even have any sort of warnings on this. So that's just a quick update for there. Again, Benton and Washington counties, we had that warning. If you're in Decatur, Gravette, Gentry, Siloam Springs, Colcord, this is not any sort of severe activity right now, but heavy rain and maybe some 45-mile-per-hour winds will be possible with that. Again, there's no warnings on this, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's some gusty, non-severe winds with this activity in addition to heavy rain and that lightning. So let's see here. Again, still watching these two signatures. We have this one that is near Lowell. It's not the most significant we've seen. And then a developing one near Stillwell, Oklahoma. I'm curious if that one starts to ramp up and maybe becomes confirmed in the next little bit, just because that is a more impressive signature. The other thing, too, I'm going to actually switch radars here real quick. So Benton and Washington County and those areas to the north, it's a little bit hard to see on radar at some points just because it's so far away from the radar site. And actually, I'm going to demonstrate real quick what I'm talking about. You'll have a radar site, and then that shoots the beam out. And when it shoots the beam out, keep in mind the curvature of the Earth and then the height of the beam. The Earth is curving, and then the beam is going up. The further away distance-wise you are from the radar site, the higher up you're looking into a storm. So when we're looking at the Bentonville region from the Fort Smith radar site, we're looking at about 6,500 feet. So this is not as close to the surface as you'd imagine. So I want to see if the Springfield site has a little bit better reading, because typically you can kind of bounce back and forth. If not, we'll go to the Tulsa site. The problem with this is they're all pretty much equal distance. So we'll go back to this. That one has it too. So again, some rotation near the community of Lowell. We'll go back to Fort Smith just so we can keep an eye on that one to the south. Even well farther to our south, there is more severe weather warnings near the Texarkana area to the northwest of there. So quite a bit of activity. Yeah, near Broken Bow. Let's see. I'm going to zoom in on this one real quick. We're not going to leave the Benton County storm, so we're going to keep a close eye on them both. We're going to bounce back and forth, but we want to focus on both of these at the same time. This one is going to be moving into portions of Washington County pretty soon, and this includes western Prairie Grove. And Prairie Grove, again, we know there's some anxiety there too, just because if you recall, last Wednesday, there was an EF1 that moved through Prairie Grove. So when you hear these warnings, go ahead and, seek shelter. There's not an immediate tornado risk for eastern Prairie Grove, but western Prairie Grove is in that warning. So this is your early indication to get to shelter. And in case this holds on. Again, this one has not been confirmed, but it has been kind of going back and forth on its strength, and it's been maintaining somewhat. So we're still keeping a very close eye on this. Back to the north. Okay, and that one to the south that we were just on, they just extended that until about 5:30. So let's go back up to, again, here's the normal reflectivity reading. Again, a little bit of an inflow notch here. If there was a developing tornado, it would be on the east sides of Bentonville right about now, if there was anything. Fortunately, it does not look that intense. We're not seeing those reds with the normalized rotation. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on this. And the tornado watch continue. They're still shaving that off. I wonder if that's going to pop up on our other another radar system here. Doesn't look like that's dropping off yet. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and just stay over here for a second, and we're going to zoom in, and we're going to use our shear product on this. We'll go to where the stronger winds would be located, and just so you know, we're going to use some tools here just to kind of display where the stronger winds are. So this is Walton Boulevard here next to Highway 49, Northeast J Street, I believe that is. Don DeShields Boulevard. This is where some of the stronger normalized rotation is. It's not, significant. But if there was rotation, it would be crossing Highway 49 now, and it would be close to, trying to get this main road. It would be near Hudson Road and near Arkansas Street, and it would be okay, so that would mean if we just got that max, then I'm assuming that they're extending the southern tornado warning for us. So we'll take a look at that here in just a second. We just got a Razorback alert from the University of Arkansas that says that tornado warning was issued and it's affecting campus. We'll wait and see if that's plotted. I don't see the warning right now. Yeah, that might be. Yeah, that might exactly be what it is. So that might be preemptive, or that might be delayed from earlier when we had that warning. So if you just got the RAS alert right now, no tornado warning for Fayetteville as of now. But the University of Arkansas did send out a RAS alert to students. We don't see the warning on here real quick. The last update to that warning was at 4:50. Sirens are sounding at the University of Arkansas, so go ahead and seek shelter just because we do have this storm that is going to be moving into the area here shortly. We'll wait and see. I'm going to look and make sure that I didn't miss. Continues a tornado warning. That was at 4:50. Yeah, so I wonder if that was just a delay from earlier. Interesting. So let's go back. Yeah, so this is, if you're hearing the sirens on the University of Arkansas campus right now, there is no warning that includes Fayetteville or the university. But please, I know there's a lot of college students out there that think, indestructible, it's not gonna hurt me, it's not gonna hit here. Just don't go out in the middle of this just because right now it's quiet, but take a look to the south and west. If this makes its way, okay, so if this is gonna be moving into our area here shortly, we may be needing to seek shelter again. I'm sure that was probably either a delayed system glitch or something, just because we had that warning that included campus earlier. It didn't go off, but we'll figure that out later. Good news for the storm to the north. The Washington County portion is cut off of this. In fact, southern Benton County is cut off of that as well. And what happens is when you get these warnings, they don't stay within the box forever. They move, and when they move out of certain areas, they don't just leave the box up and leave people wondering if it's over yet or not. They will cut the warning down to size, and they will follow where that storm is going. So the good news is here, and I'll zoom in just to show you, is Lowell, Cave Springs, Centerton, and Hydril are no longer in the warning. That's some good news there. Still watching near Little Flock. There is this little bright area. In fact, it's no longer there. We're still keeping an eye on this, but hopefully this is going to be going away, and we're not going to be dealing with any sort of tornadic issues in Benton County. I can say after, walking through damage from in May, we're very thankful whenever we get these, and they never come to fruition for anywhere in Northwest Arkansas. We don't like any damage. We don't like when people's lives are impacted by these storms. So some good news there. Hopefully this goes away. Unfortunately, we don't have as good of news for this one that's moving towards Lincoln. Lincoln, get to shelter. Same with Summers and Rhea. Get to shelter now. This is a pretty strong signature, and it's starting to form a little bit of a hook. It's not impressive, but this might start to form a stinger hook And if you were watching our coverage earlier, a stinger hook is not when it's that big boot hook echo, where it almost looks like the country of Italy, and it's just that big hook echo. This is a little bit of a hook right here that might be a stinger hook. And a stinger hook, think of a bee, it's a small stinger at the end of it, and that's what we're looking at with this. And just a quick thought, Max, if we could aim that camera to the south and west, if this has any sort of lightning, we might be able to see it just because this is past sunset and it's pretty dark outside. So let me know if you're able to see anything, and we can pull that up here in just a minute. But in the meantime, let's go back to this. And again, this isn't too... Okay, awesome. And what you're looking at now is the tower cam, and if we were to see anything, you would be looking to the left underneath where that live bug is on the screen, and that would be the storm that is approaching us. And we're going to be keeping a very close eye on this. I'm curious to see if the Weather Service goes ahead and issues a downstream warning for this upcoming storm. I'm going to go back to that Rogers here real quick. Let's go back to radar. There was a lowering that was on some other media outlets saw it. Again, we can't show this just because it's not our camera, but there was a little bit of a lowering earlier. I just want to keep a very close eye on this and make sure it's not coming back. But right now, the normalized rotation and the velocity is not as impressive as it was. So we'll keep a close eye on this. Again, this one that is moving into portions of western Washington County, this is going to be something we have to keep a very close eye on just because this is continuing to show signs of maintaining its strength, and this will be eventually our next issue for Fayetteville. And in fact, it would not surprise me if in the next couple of minutes the Weather Service goes ahead and issues a downstream warning for this. That would include the University of Arkansas campus and Fayetteville as a whole, including Prairie Grove, because we have this rotation right here that is pretty strong. In fact, I think they just issued it here. Correct me if I'm wrong, Max, but did you see if there's any sort of yeah, okay, so we have a new tornado warning that does include Fayetteville, and that's exactly what I was thinking was going to happen. So new tornado warning, this includes Fayetteville again. So, you know, stay with us, we'll get you through this. But we have, again, continued tornado warning, and this is going to be moving into the city of Fayetteville. I want to text my family in my apartment building and let them know to get to shelter. All right, so just to let the UATV staff know, if you want to get back to shelter, go ahead here in the next little bit, just because this does include the city of Fayetteville and the University of Arkansas campus. And if you just got that alert on your phone, I'm sure the RAS alert's going to be sending out here in just a second. This does include Fayetteville and the city of Fayetteville, Johnson, Taneytown, Bethel Heights, Springdale. Let's do a wide view here real quick. Show you what we're talking about. And here's that storm. And this is going to be moving into our area here pretty soon. So let's go back to this other radar here, and we'll take a look at the warning for this. This expires at 5:45, and it is moving to the northeast at 46 miles an hour. And if anything's going to be occurring, it's going to be with this portion right here that's near the town of Lincoln. If you're in Lincoln, near Sugar Hill Road, if you are near County Road 78, if you are near, I think that said McCraddock Road, Weddington Blacktop Road, go ahead and get to shelter if you're in Lincoln. This could be potentially another forming tornado. And I want to take this off, and I want to go back to our manual tracker. and I want to give people as much lead time as possible with this. So again, Fayetteville, seek shelter right now. Same with Lincoln, Prairie Grove, all those communities, get to shelter. Let's do just a broad timeline, and this is moving, do about 52 just to give some additional time here. So here's a look at the times of arrival. Sirens are sounding at the University of Arkansas campus. I can't stress this enough. You need to get to shelter. And before we do the times of arrival, let's go back to this. This is the apartment shelter guide. And this is for people who are on the University of Arkansas campus or outside of it, in an apartment, a dormitory, you name it. You need to be getting to shelter because this warning is moving into our area. And for anyone who's on staff here, if you are concerned, go ahead, seek shelter in the basement. The interior room, go ahead and get there. Again, if you're in one of those apartments that's kind of like a townhome where there's a unit on top of a unit and an exterior stairwell, well, make sure that you leave that and then you get to shelter downstairs, get to know your neighbor, knock on the door, ask them if you can shelter with them. I'm sure they'll let you in, shelter with them. Again, centermost room, interior closet or bathroom, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, cover yourself with pillows and blankets. This is okay, awesome. We're going to keep an eye on that tower cam. I'm going to go back to radar here real quick. And if there is a tornado, it's getting closer to the community of Prairie Grove. So Prairie Grove, get to your shelter. I'm going to step out of this way real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. Notice this rotation right here, the light greens and the reds. This is making its way closer to the community of Prairie Grove. This is currently over Lincoln. And there, it's a little bit sloppy, but there is some rotation there as well. In fact, I'm going to actually do this and see if that clears up some of that mess. Again, sirens are sounding. We know there is a lot going on. We know there's people that are afraid of storms. I grew up terrified of storms growing up. Now I'm delivering the weather to you. I'm letting you know, we're going to get through this. We're going to get you through this. Just stay here with us. Please heed the warnings when they're issued. Get to that interior room, lowest floor, sturdy building. If you're in a mobile home, get to shelter elsewhere quickly. We're going to get you through this. There's no reason to panic. Just get to shelter. You'll be perfectly safe if you get to that shelter with your family, your friends, your pets, whoever's with you, and we'll get you through this. Just wait until this storm gets through. And we know it's scary. Sirens are going off in Fayetteville. But we're going to be here with you, so stay here with us. We're going to keep you safe through this. So I'm going to step out of the way real quick and look once again at this. I want to go back to the time of arrival because we didn't show that here a second ago. But here's a look at the time of arrival. Prairie Grove, this is going to be at 5:06. So basically right now. Fayetteville, 5:19. Tawnytown at 5:21. Johnson at 5:21. And then Lowell, 5:30. And then eventually, if it holds together, it'll be at Beaver at around 5:58. That's what we've got with this. Let's go back to this enhanced radar. Again, the time right now is 5:05. We have tornado warnings. Another one that snuck up on us, confirmed tornado in Pea Ridge. We're going to have to bounce around with this. Confirmed tornado now in Benton County, too. I hate to say that. If you're in Rogers, get to shelter now. Northern Rogers, immediate downtown Rogers is not involved in the warning box, but keep in mind the city limits will expand a little bit to the north where there's a couple of subdivisions and stuff like that. So north sides of Rogers get to shelter. If you're in Garfield, Pea Ridge, get to shelter there as well. We have a confirmed tornado. And damaging tornado was confirmed by broadcast media on a media webcam on the northeast side of Rogers. And this was 3 miles to the east of Pea Ridge. So we have a confirmed tornado now there. We have a developing tornado potentially into Washington County too. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to bounce back and forth. We're going to get you through this. Like I said, again, a lot going on. This is just one of those crazy weather days. We're going to make sure that you get the information that you need. If we bounce back and forth, this isn't to, scare you or whatever, but when we have multiple tornado warnings in, multiple areas that are populated, we want to make sure that everyone has the same information and that we make sure that everyone's getting safe. We don't want to leave anyone out of our coverage. So northern Benton County, northeast sides of Rogers, get to shelter. Pea Ridge, this is getting close to the community of Garfield. The problem is when you were so far out from that radar site, it's hard to read it that far out. So I want to go to the Springfield site and see if I can actually get a better view. All good. And it's just so hard. If there's going to be a tornado in Benton County still on the ground, it's on Highway 62, basically to the south and east of Pea Ridge and Garfield, where you see that inflow notch right there. That is going to be where that tornado may still be ongoing. And we're still keeping an eye. This is what you're looking at here. This is from our tower cam on Humphreys Hall at the University of Arkansas. This is looking to the southwest, and you can see all that lightning. If we're going to get a lowering from this storm that's in Washington County, it's going to be seen on this. And that's the cool thing with UATV this year, folks, is we have the tower cam now that can give us these views. We can go and do these live streams like this, and we can inform students here at the U of A. We can inform people with family, Benton County, stuff like that. We're going to make sure that we're on with you this entire time. And just a quick shout out, Max is in the production room. He's putting all this together with the 2-box and the camera. Extremely helpful. Really, thank you for helping us with this broadcast and making sure that we can help keep people safe. So I'm going to step out of the way real quick and just zoom in on where this rotation would be located. But first I'm going to go back to the Fort Smith site just because that is not going to be a good view from Springfield on Washington County. Okay, good news. Good news there. The warning for the confirmed tornado in Benton County looks to have expired or been canceled. Okay, so that's some good news there. Now we can focus on the ones to the south. Like we said, we want to make sure that everyone's getting the same information. We want to make sure that we're covering our bases, doing our due diligence, and making sure that you all have the information that you need so that you can prepare you and your families to get to shelter. Now we're going to focus here because, University of Arkansas is sounding its sirens right now. So I don't know if you can hear it in the broadcast. The other thing that I'm noticing too is notice this green is extending. So in addition, this might be just a couple of different spin-ups with some damaging wind potential there too. We have two areas that we're looking where these little notches are. You see these little tornado vortex signatures, the TVSs. These are not the debris signatures, but this is showing us where there is rotation occurring. So far, I don't see any sort of debris, so that's some good news there. But there are still a couple of potential embedded spin-ups with this. And I'm going to go back to the normalized rotation. And the reason we're doing this is because the radar, when it's looking that high up, the velocity signatures, they're not as clean. So it's kind of harder to point out to you where that rotation is occurring. So we're going to kind of go bouncing back and forth between these products. But we're going to go back to normal radar. And again, let's actually, can we do that 2-box for the tower cam here real quick? I think this is getting closer to view. If there was a tornado, it would be close to the community of Prairie Grove right now. No confirmation, so if you just heard Prairie Grove mentioned, no confirmed tornado, but go ahead and seek shelter as if there was a confirmed tornado. Look at that tower cam box at the lightning that is occurring with this. So again, if there's anything out there, we're going to be able to see it here live, and we're going to be able to relay that information to you as soon as it happens. Again, if you're on the University of Arkansas, sirens are sounding. Go ahead and get to shelter. Just because, we want to be safe, want to make sure that we're getting to a safe place. Until that gets closer, I'm going to go back here. If we can go full to the weather camera real quick. Thank you. And this is where to shelter. If you're not sure where to shelter, centermost room, interior closet, bathroom. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Take your pets with you. Take your kids with you. If you have friends with you, go with them as well to shelter. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Cover yourself with pillows, blankets. If you have a bike helmet or a football helmet or any sort of protective sporting equipment, put that on. If you're in an apartment, a dormitory. Again, this is critical information. Seek shelter on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. If there is a center staircase, like my apartment building, if you're watching from my building, you know where to go. It's the basement staircase underneath the stairwell, away from windows. There's no windows in that staircase except on the higher floors, so just make sure that you're underneath the stairwell. If there is any option with windows, that's not an option. That's dangerous. Make sure that you are on the basement or the lowest floor, centermost room, closet, bathroom, staircase, underneath it. If you are in one of those units where it's stacked on top of each other, make sure you don't shelter in the exterior stairwell. Incredibly dangerous. Knock on your neighbor's door beneath you if you're on the higher floor. Seek shelter with them. So let's go back to the radar. And again, if there is a tornado, it's going to be near the community of Prairie Grove. And that's this area that we're looking at right here, where you see that little TVS there. That's where the strongest rotation is going to be located. And there, the velocity is kind of aligning up with that there too. So it's not the most impressive rotation that we have seen. There's also a little bit of weaker broad rotation to the north as well, west of Johnson. But this is where that TVS is located. And again, regardless, we're going to see storms here in Fayetteville probably in the next 10 minutes or so. So if you're outdoors, there is a tornado warning. Get to shelter. In addition to that, there's lightning and heavy rain with it, so you don't want to be outside even if there wasn't a tornado. So get to shelter now. Again, some broad rotation on the north side. This is where, if there was a tornado, it'd be closer to Prairie Grove. Basically a long area of damaging winds extending from just west of Johnson and moving into the Prairie Grove area. So this is headed into Fayetteville in just a couple of minutes. Again, Johnson and Springdale, eventually Lowell, you want to be taking your precautions there as well. Lowell is technically half in the warning, but you still want to be in your shelter just because, again, we have this potential tornadic activity coming together. Max, let's double box and see if we can see anything on that tower cam real quick, just because this has gotten a little bit closer. Thank you. And you can see that lightning is showing up there. And this is going to be what we're talking about out here is we're going to be looking at where this activity is. It's going to be behind that mountain on the tower cam. So if we see anything, it'll be kind of in that view. We're looking to the southwest of Humphreys Hall on our camera. And if there's anything, we'll zoom in on that. But right now, the good news, just to alleviate any fear, remain in shelter until the warning has moved out or has been canceled or expired or whatever. Stay in your shelter for the time being. I know it's scary, it's stressful, but stay in shelter. It's just to be safe. Right now, though, I'm not seeing those pockets of those reds like what we were seeing. I'm not seeing that intense tornado that was long on the ground with debris with it forever. I'm not seeing anything like that. What we're looking at here, I think we've shifted over from that because we are more of a linear mode, is we're going to start looking for these little kinks in the line, and that's when we're going to be looking for the potential for spin-up tornadoes. Spin-up tornadoes can be just as dangerous. I mean, look at Oklahoma City, the other night where they had QLCS tornadoes that were pretty strong. The environment's favorable, but we're not looking at those long-lived supercells. We're looking more at a cluster of storms that are now merging into a line, and where you see these little kinks in the line, like near Prairie Grove and into the south, that's where we're going to be watching for the potential for some rotation, is those little kinks in the line. Further to the north, for our friends who are in Rogers and Bentonville, you're not in this warning yet, but if they do issue a downstream warning, just to be safe with these little kinks in the line. Keep in mind, you could be re-added into a tornado warning here in just a little bit. But right now, no tornado warning in Bentonville or Rogers. Just heavy rainfall and some lightning, but no tornado activity. Again, this isn't the long-lived supercells. These are these little kinks in the line. And if we, I'm going to actually put this into motion here real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. Notice how it was kind of just a couple of different storms that merged together, and now it's forming a line. What we're going to be looking for is these spin-up tornadoes, of course, one, and then two is once this starts shifting over into a line, then we might start looking at the potential for 60 to 70 mile per hour winds with this as well. So keep in mind, damaging winds are going to be possible. And then, of course, for our friends to the east and to the south that haven't had their turn yet with these storms, we're going to be watching all of this activity here because those could also become severe. Reading up on any new information from the Weather Service. Okay, so nothing there. The sirens are resounding in Fayetteville, so you want to get to your shelter. We're here on air. It's because, you know, we know what we're looking at. We're staying on here at the air. We know when to leave if it's coming in our direction. But we're going to stay on with you as long as possible. If anything comes close to us, we're going to make sure that we're safe, of course, but we want to make sure that we are with you, walking you through this and making sure that we're going to get you through this. Okay, so there's our double box view. It's kind of hard to tell if that's... Okay, the lightning behind to the left looked interesting. There's a little bit of a lowering back in there. It's hard to tell because it's behind that mountain and we need the lightning to kind of illuminate it. When it gets a little bit closer, it might be better, but you can see kind of where it's... The signal's not that great, so it's not going to be continuous. We can see every now and then it's a little bit of a lowering back in there. I'm not going to say it's the wall cloud yet just because I can't see and it's hard to confirm. But right now we're going to be keeping a very close eye on these as they make their way into the area. You can see it's definitely electric too. So regardless of the tornado warning, get inside just because there's lightning with it, and lightning can be dangerous and deadly. So we're keeping an eye on this. Let's go back to... And the sirens are still sounding, so that's some good news. I want everyone at the University of Arkansas who's watching to get to shelter just to be safe. Again, I know there's the temptation. All college students have thought this at one point in their life. I know there's people that go out and they try and look at it. They'll think they're invincible, or they think we don't get it. I often hear the joke, the Fayetteville Fizzle. We have a warning in effect for us. Don't play around with this. You have to respect the warning. You have to get to shelter. Stay in shelter just to be safe. This is to keep you safe. This is to make sure that if there is a tornado, that it's not going to impact you. Again, you don't want to be outside. If there's flying debris, that's incredibly dangerous. But there still is this activity. Hey, Max, let's put up that double box real quick, and let's aim the camera a little bit more to the north, or to the west. Let's put that to the right, just because the radar is now indicating that if there was a rotation, it would be right up basically against this camera. There it is. So this is the leading edge of the storm. Again, those are some scud clouds, or what we call scary looking clouds. Those aren't funnels. Those aren't like 50 funnels or anything like that. Those are the scud leading into it. Can we push that a little bit more to the right? Okay. There's a little bit of a lowered base. It's kind of hard to tell just because there's so much rain. To me, that doesn't look significant. That could be a little bit of a wall cloud. But again, it's hard to see where I'm at because the TV is so small, but there's a little bit of a lowering right there. That could be the wall cloud, but I can't really see it. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on this. Of course, if you're in Fayetteville, stay in shelter. If we're going to see anything, I think that's where it's going to be. This isn't to be alarming. This isn't saying that there is a tornado with it, but if there was going to be anything, I think that is where it would be located. So if we could follow that as it moves to the north and east, I'll be taking a look at the radar, and there's still, yep, okay, so on radar, that is where, if anything's going to go, that's going to be where it is. So again, this is the coolest thing for UATV, that we have a tower cam, because then we can really relay this information to you. But that, to me, looks pretty interesting from here. Again, it's kind of hard to see from the TV that I'm looking at, but if there was any sort of potential tornadic activity, I think that's going to be where it would be originating from. And let's turn that a little bit more to the right, if you don't mind. Again, and sirens are continuing. That to me, yeah, there's our lowering. That, to me, if we're going to see any sort of tornado, it would probably be back in there. Now, the good news is I'm not seeing any sort of necessarily a funnel cloud or anything with this right now, but we need to be keeping a close eye on this. So if you are in Fayetteville, Johnson, just go ahead and seek shelter, just because we have this lowering right here. Not a funnel, but this lowered, what looks like potentially a wall cloud. In fact, maybe to the north. I'm standing against this TV. That might be the wall cloud to the north of that. And again, this isn't to scare you or alarm you, but that, to me, it's either that one to the north of this one that's closest to the camera, but those look like maybe those could be two areas where maybe a spin-up might be trying to form. The camera is going to get pounded with rain here in just a minute or so. But this is a great camera view. If we're going to see anything, it's going to be right back in there or a little bit north of where we're currently looking. I'm trying to see if there's any sort of information coming in too from the Weather Service. Okay, cool. And yeah, so we have this view right now. It's about to go away just because, wow, look at that. You can see the heavy rain. Let's go to the double box there. You can see the heavy rain that's coming down with the leading edge of that. It's starting to look like it's a little bit fuzzy. That's the heavy rainfall that's coming with this. So we're probably not going to see, if there was a tornado, we're probably not going to be able to see it now. But again, community of Johnson and Springdale, go ahead and get to your safe place now. Again, we saw, I couldn't really tell if it was a wall cloud. The one that was a little bit to the north looked a little bit better. I had to stand against the TV. There was a little bit of a lowering there. It didn't look like a funnel or anything like that, so we're not saying there was a funnel, but there was a little bit of a lowering off in the distance that looked like it could have been a possible wall cloud. Again, it's hard to tell. It's dark outside. Again, when we're standing on here in the green wall, the TVs are kind of small or a little bit fuzzy, so we can't really tell exactly. Let's go back to weather one, the main weather wall. Sirens are still sounding on campus. Wow, that's a lot of lightning. So, again, Lowell, not technically, not fully in the warning. Half of Lowell on the map is in the warning. But if we're starting to see this more of a QLCS tornado risk, and those are those little spin-ups that you get along the line of it, if this continues to be a risk that we're looking at here, then I think that there might be a downstream warning that's issued for portions of southeast Washington County. Okay, so this warning is continuing until 5:45. I'm imagining, since they updated it, that they're starting to trim out. Yep, and as I stand out of the way, you can see they're trimming out portions of central western Washington County as this continues to push off to the east. Remain in shelter in Fayetteville. Give it a couple more minutes before this pushes out. And we'll do just a broad view here real quick. So the good news is there is going to be more rain, maybe even some thunder after this, but as this main development pushes off to the east, it's going to start to diminish our severe weather risk with it. So there's still going to be rain and storms that follow it, but once we get through this initial main line of storms, then the severe weather risk is going to start to decrease behind it. We're going to still see some showers and storms may be capable of, lightning and then maybe some gusty winds, but we're not talking this incredible tornado risk. When we have all that heavy rainfall and then we have these storms that kind of go over the environment that we have, they use up that energy, and then it starts to stabilize as it pushes off to the east. So we're keeping an eye on these. River Valley is quiet right now, but that's probably going to change. Right now, if you're tuning in from the University of Arkansas, stay in your shelter. There is still a tornado warning in effect for our area. And then my parents sent me a video of that same lowering there that we saw. The warning sirens are still continuing here in Fayetteville, and I'm glad that they're doing that. Just because I saw a lot of people that were walking on campus, so if there was going to be anything, it was going to be dangerous for those to be outside. Still a potential for rotation in Fayetteville. It would be over Fayetteville now, and we'll zoom in on this. You can see it's not the bright red that we saw with some of the more intense signatures, but there's still a little bit of spin. And the problem is this is not those long-term supercells that continue. They're these little quasi-linear, spin-up tornadoes. And that's when you get these quick, they can sometimes last 30 seconds to a minute, sometimes a couple minutes, sometimes a couple seconds. And that's when you get these spin-ups. They're kind of hard to predict, and they're hard to see on radar at times. We're still seeing some intense winds with the normalized rotation where it's these brighter colors there. There might even be a couple different rotation areas with the kinks in the line. But right now, Fayetteville, stay in shelter. Johnson, stay in shelter. Greenland is not in the warning, but you're still probably going to get some gusty winds and heavy rain there. And again, if you're UATV staff and you want to go and get to shelter, just stay down in the basement. I'll stay up here as long as I need to be. Get down there, make sure that you're safe, of course. We want to make sure that we're live, but we don't want to put anyone in danger. So get to shelter. We're going to get through this as long as we need to. So again, sirens are still sounding. The time right now is 5:28 p.m. And again, tornado warning for Washington County. Okay, good. So the staff is downstairs. So if you're wondering, it's just me up here, and then our producer, and we're going to make sure that we're safe, of course. So if we need to, we'll get to shelter, but we want to stay with you as long as possible to make sure that you have the best information and that you're staying safe as well. We're going to get through this together. We're here for you. We're going to make sure that you're getting through this as well. Sirens are sounding at the University of Arkansas campus, and let's go ahead and hit. Okay, so I guess one of the stations lost power up here. So we might start to see some power outages here and starting to hear some heavy rainfall. Remain in shelter. Try and see if I can see anything out this window. Let's go ahead and go back to the tower camp. There we go. Okay. There is some lightning, heavy rainfall. Wind is starting to pick up. You can see our camera starting to shake just a little bit. Lots of lightning with it. Stay in shelter, folks. We're telling you, with these little spin-ups, they can come and go quickly, and we want to make sure that you're safe. Don't mess around with this. Don't try and go out and look at it. Please don't go out and try and drive around and see this. Heavy rainfall. That was interesting. That was a big bolt of lightning. It looked a little bit blue. I'm pretty sure that's lightning. Just trying to make sure that there's no power flashes or anything like that. That to me looks like lightning. And as you can see, there is a lot of it, and there is a lot of rain, and the camera's shaking from some of the winds too. So it wouldn't surprise me if we start to see some 50 to 60 mile per hour winds with this as well. Let's see if we can turn that camera a little bit to the left, Max. Awesome, thank you. I want to see, there we go, with some of those other lights to see if we can pick up some more wind, but also make sure, and there is a tremendous amount of lightning there too. You can see those flashes every couple of seconds. Not as much as we saw with that previous storm, but still a good amount of lightning. Just don't be outside. Lightning is dangerous and deadly. You don't want to be caught outside in the storm, regardless if there's a tornado or not. Just make sure that you're safe. Just make sure that you're completely safe. College students, I'm sure that your mom and dad are probably wanting you to get to shelter. So please don't go out and try and drive and look at this, or, go out and hold a flag in it like some of the videos that we see online. It's just not smart. Let's just get through this, and we'll make sure that everyone's completely safe, that we're getting through this storm. Tremendous amount of lightning, some gusty winds right now, and wow, it is really coming down. I don't know if you can pick that up on my mic, but it is really coming down outside right now. Just a tremendous amount of rainfall. The winds are not that intense, but still, we want to remain in shelter just in case, because, again, when you have these little line segments and there's these little in shelter, because these spin-ups can come out of nowhere. They can occur fast. They can last a couple seconds. They can last a couple minutes. So, yeah, still keeping a very close eye on this. And regardless of the tornado risk, there's still a tremendous amount of rain with this activity. It sounds like someone's rolling a cart with heavy weights on it on the roof above you in your apartment. It's raining so much. Just sounds really loud. That's the closest thing I could think of sound-wise with the amount of rain that we're getting here. So sorry if that was like a weird description or weirdly specific, but that's the closest thing I could think of to the sound that we're getting, just because there's a little bit of rumble from the thunder, but also the heavy rainfall that's hitting the building. So again, sirens are still sounding in Fayetteville. Again, there are a couple different sirens on campus of the U of A. For Fayetteville, there's only sirens at the U of A. City of Fayetteville does not own sirens. U of A does. And there's one on the south, there's one on campus here, and there's one to the north. So we're making sure everyone's getting to shelter here in Kimple Hall. Everyone is remaining down there. The UATV staff is safe. I'm up here with you, staying as long as possible. I'm in no danger. If there's really any need for me to get off, I would get down to shelter immediately. But I want to make sure that I'm walking here step by step with you, getting you through this. We're going to help you through the severe weather. We're going to make sure that you have the information that you need, and we're going to stay here with you. This is the deal. So, like I said, grew up with storm anxiety, and now I'm delivering the weather to you. And I know that there's a lot of anxiety out there with storms. We want to make sure that you know where to go. It's been a while since I showed this. If you were in the tornado warning, and here's the apartment sheltering guide. Take a screenshot of that, save it on your phone. Lowest floor, sturdy building, centermost room, closet, bathroom. And you want to make sure that you're getting there as soon as possible. The overall general tornado safety tips, regardless of where you're at: centermost room, lowest floor, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, cover yourself with pillows and blankets, and make sure that you're keeping you, your family, your pets, your friends, whoever's with you safe. Get to shelter there immediately. And then if you don't know what that looks like, here's this graph that I put together. It's showing you a house. If you are in a house, stay away from these exterior walls. Your bedroom against the exterior wall is not going to work. This closet right here is not going to work. You want to make sure that you're in the interior wall. If you're on the interior room, centermost room, bathroom, closet, get there as quickly as you can when the warning's issued. We'll get you through this. Cover yourself with pillows, blankets. If you have a bike helmet, go ahead, throw it on. Cover yourself with that. If you have a mattress, just throw it over you if you're in the bathroom, hiding in the tub. So we've got this there. Let's go back to our normalized rotation. And the good news is, I think in the next couple of minutes, we can start to give Fayetteville the all clear, because a lot of this is starting to push to the east. We're not going to give you the all clear yet. Sirens are still sounding, still heavy rain and some winds here in Fayetteville. But the good news is, the leading edge of this, which has the most dangerous risk for that tornadic activity, notice it's just now on the eastern sides of Fayetteville. It's starting to push out. And the good news is we're seeing that this activity is more linear. It's not the supercell. We did, just for a quick recap, we had a couple of tornadoes in this viewing area, and okay, so that was earlier. We have new information that Rogers, just as I was mentioning, confirmed tornado. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but there was a damaging tornado on the northeast side of Rogers tonight. There's a video of damage and potentially the tornado that we were just made aware of. We're going to figure out more on that. And then we had, of course, the one that was in eastern Oklahoma. That was on the ground for a good 30, maybe 45 minutes or so. just around south of Tahlequah. So we've had one significant tornado outside of the coverage area. We had potentially hopefully not a significant tornado in Benton County, because we have had some damage and some reports of that tornado that was on the northeast side of Rogers. So hopefully that is not major damage or anything like that. That would just break all of our hearts, I'm sure. But we have had a couple of these tornado warnings in Washington County. So far, no damage reports, no PTDS signature with our debris detector. And Max, if you could pull up the Power Outage US, I want to see if we can find those numbers for how many power outages are out, because I'm seeing reports of people on social media and some people texting me that the power is out across Northwest Arkansas. So if we could go to Benton and Washington counties with that one by one, that I'm sure that'd be helpful for the viewers. Thank you so much for your hard work, by the way. Really appreciate it. Okay, 133 out in Washington County, and then 1749, correct, for Benton County of outages? Okay, so 1,700 outages in Benton County, 133 in Washington County. So again, there's all sorts of reports from these tornadoes, and I'm sure that if a tornado did cause damage, that we have outages from some of this. Sirens are still sounding at the University of Arkansas, so I keep hearing these sirens, and then just absolutely heavy rainfall there. Curious to see if the Weather Service goes ahead and extends this tornado warning or issues it downstream. Again, this is still tornado warned, so Springdale, Johnson, Fayetteville remain in shelter. Down the line, Hinesville, Goshen, potentially Lowell and War Eagle, maybe even Clifty. If the Weather Service continues to think that this still has any sort of danger with tornadic activity, then it could be extending into these areas. So just start thinking about where to go in the event of a tornado if you live in those communities I just called out. Let's go back to the radar here real quick, and I want to go ahead and do a time of arrival. This is the old one, so let's go back to this. And correct me if I'm wrong, Max, it looks like they may have just dropped the tornado warning. That is some good news. We love to hear that. So the tornado warning has expired. That is some really, really good news. So UATV staff, you can go ahead and come out of shelter. Sirens are still, I think I could still hear the sirens on the University of Arkansas campus. Give that a minute to go away. Right now, the worst of it is pushed through Fayetteville. If you're a student at the U of A, you can go ahead and go back to your room. It's going to be loud, I know. So it's going to be loud for a minute. It's just heavy rain and winds right now. Again, keeping an eye on it. If you live east of this storm, the environment is still favorable for tornadic activity. Huntsville, Berryville, Oak Grove, Omaha, communities like that, we're still watching out there because the tornado watch is out there. The storm should potentially be on a weakening trend as they move east, but you still want to be keeping an eye out on this activity. The times of arrival that we're looking at here for this storm, even though it's not warned anymore, we just want to give you a heads up for where the storm is going to be. Elkins 6:43, Hinesville at 6:58, Green Forest at 7:37. So we're going to stay with you for a couple more minutes. Make sure and just do our due diligence that, there's nothing else that's going to be creating a problem. In fact, in the time being, I do want to do a wide view. So for those watching at home who may not be familiar with what all we're talking about, we're going to do a wide view. If you've been asking, well, what about my location? I'm in Sebastian County, I'm in Madison County, stuff like that. For these storms that are moving into Madison County, still a tornado watch in effect. You still haven't really tapped into that environment, so still remain vigilant for areas to the east. But further to the south, same with Fort Smith. No severe weather so far. Still remain vigilant just because these storms haven't really tapped into that. But these don't look intense right now. Keeping a close eye on it, but River Valley so far has had a fairly quiet and decent night weather-wise. Again, these storms are moving in, still keeping a very close eye on it. Bentonville, Rogers, Fayetteville, right now, no warnings of any kind within our viewing area, just heavy, heavy rainfall. In fact, I want to go to this real quick. This is another radar source of ours, and I'm going to go ahead and just clear off everything. We're going to go ahead and do the rainfall for 1 hour. So we're starting to see those reds. That's close to about 2 inches in the last hour. That's roughly around 9.5 plus to almost 2 inches. So in the last hour, some areas are seeing a rainfall rate of up to 2 inches an hour across Benton and Washington counties. So outside of the risk for the tornadoes that we've been looking at and the severe weather, we're starting to transition over from severe weather in Benton and Washington counties to more of a flash flooding risk. And if you've been tuning into UATV, we've been looking at this for the last several weeks. That drought with a month plus without any sort of measurable rainfall, the soil has hardened, and we don't really have soil that's able to absorb all that rain when it lands on the ground. So flash flooding, areas that are prone to flooding, is possible tonight. So don't be surprised if there's some ponding on roadways. Turn around, don't drown. If a road looks flooded out, don't drive on it. It takes 6 inches of rain to knock someone off their feet and 12 inches to take a car with it if it's moving water. So just make sure that you, of course, are protecting yourself. Again, no flash flood warnings, but we've seen a couple of flooding advisories just because 2 inches of rainfall an hour is quite a lot. Don't get us wrong. This is rainfall that we've desperately needed. We'll take it. But it would have been a little bit more preferable if it was able to absorb in the ground and not have several inches over the course of just hours, and then it's not able to absorb into the ground. Okay, and if we're able to show that, we can go ahead and do that. Potentially have some footage from Rogers from a drone. And that is an interesting drone shot there. That looks like the wall cloud. There's the tail cloud for that storm, and you can see there's that big lowering. That is a good shot there. That was earlier, so if you were just tuning in and you saw that, that was not a live shot. The box next to me is a live shot, but that was a live shot earlier of the wall cloud that was in the Rogers area there. And that was from Carson Hamilton. So shout out to them. Thank you for letting us use that. Thank you for getting that video. Was that Rogers or was that, where was that? Okay, so that was Rogers. Just making sure that we're giving you the best information. So right now, we'll go back to this. Like we said, there's not a whole lot going on. We have had a, confirmed tornado in Northeast Rogers. That's really unfortunate. I hope the damage is not bad. Again, I'm sure it breaks all of our hearts to hear that there was any tornado in the Rogers area. But, we're getting through it. The worst of it has passed. That's some good news. We will get to more information about some of the tornadoes that occurred tonight. Of course, the one that was in Rogers, those who were had any sort of damage from that, our thoughts go out to them and our prayers. Fortunately, I haven't heard any sort of reports of injuries from any of these storms. And we did have a significant tornado that was on the ground for almost 30 to maybe 40 minutes, if memory serves me right. We were taking a look at that when this coverage started back. That was closer to Adair County in Sequoia County, Oklahoma. But right now, nothing going on. We don't have any sort of warnings that are issued for Northwest Arkansas at this time. And then take a look. That is a great shot with tremendous amount of lightning. Just a flash every couple of seconds. Flood advisory for Benton, Carroll, Crawford, Franklin, Madison, Washington counties until 9:45, and that is because of that rainfall that I mentioned. So we've been on for a long time. Let's go back to the radar. I'm going to do one more radar tour, and then we're going to go ahead and take a break just because we've been covering this for so long. We've been walking you through this, and I'm going to do just a quick radar tour real quick just to show you what we're doing. Cassaville, Missouri, all the way down through just north of Fort Smith, we have this linear mode complex of storms, or a line of storms, if you will, that's extending all the way down into the river valley. No warnings. If we're going to keep an eye out, though, for our friends and family to the north and east of us, where the environment hasn't really been tapped in yet. So there is always the potential that, maybe these start to strengthen again, and we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence. But right now, no sort of significant rotation or anything noticeable, especially for Washington County. If you have friends and family in Dallas, I just zoomed out. There's flash flood warnings in DFW. Thankfully, that area didn't receive any sort of severe weather. And again, we've been talking about this risk for a couple of days now. And if you watched my forecast segment last week, we've been talking about this risk since last week. It's here. We were talking about the risk for tornadoes, and it unfortunately came to fruition. We got you through the worst of it. Right now, if there was going to be any sort of activity that I was concerned about, it's going to be in our eastern counties here. But really, as I zoom in, I'm not really seeing anything that sticks out to me or goes, we need to look at that. A little bit of strong winds near Spring Valley and War Eagle, but right now, nothing that's warned. So because there's nothing warned, and we've been on camera for so long, we know you're probably just as tired of this weather as we are. We're going to go ahead and take a break. Huge shout out to Max in the production room. I cannot thank him enough. He has been a huge help today with these live streams, with the cameras, double boxes. He's been feeding me information. He has been a tremendous help today. So thank you so much to Max for helping with this broadcast. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. I'm so glad that we were able to help give you this information and walk you through the risk and the warnings tonight. And if anything happens, of course, we will bring you more information throughout the night. Stay here with UATV for the latest.